And I wanted to say what's up to you guys that's already coming into the space. Goddess, PJ, uh, Numi. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Guys, I appreciate you guys coming up into the actual Twitter space. So please go ahead and tweet out the actual space. We're going to be starting here shortly. We're going to have us a pretty nice conversation today. You guys know I normally don't do the Twitter spaces on Saturday. I was actually going to do this for tomorrow, but I figured, hey, why not go ahead and have the Twitter space going today as well too. So I appreciate you guys coming out on a Saturday. I know y'all have probably a lot of things you could be doing with the family, doing some work at the house or whatever, but I appreciate you guys definitely coming up into the actual Twitter space. We're going to be talking about the Chinese and the police stations that they have right here in America. So just so you guys know that, yeah, you have a bunch of Chinese global police stations in different countries throughout the world and now the United States, based on reports that we're seeing from the Washington Times, the New York Post, and some other outlets saying that that the United States also has a Chinese police station right up here in New York City. So we appreciate you guys for coming through. Like I say, please go ahead and tweet out the actual space. Go ahead and tweet out the actual space. We appreciate everybody that's coming through. Yep, you guys go ahead and share it out, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to get this conversation rolling. Just wanted to go ahead and have this conversation, put the dialogue out there, let everybody know what's going on, draw your own conclusion or whatever. When you have content, you have information, you go ahead and you share it with your people. So it's up to you guys to take the information and do what you think about it. You go ahead and spread. You can also start conversations and dialogues around this topic right here, which I just found extremely interesting. I found this extremely interesting that the United States, of all people, a sovereign nation, would have another outside entity, especially somebody that's supposed to be one of your top competitors in China, actually having a police station. And I know China was saying that this was to monitor their actual uh, citizens and whatnot, but um, the fact that you have a sovereign nation, the United States of America, and they're sitting up here and they're allowing China. I know China owns so much of our debt in this country as well too. So they really, who knows exactly how much land and property and business and everything else that the Chinese government right now controls in America. But I just found this to be fascinating that of all of the nations in the world, the United States would allow China. It's like I couldn't imagine them having like a Russian police station up there in New York. So, yeah, I just wanted to go ahead and share this with you guys. See if we can go ahead and conversate on this for a second or whatever. I'm going to actually read this actual article that was published by the New York Post the other day, and it's called "China Has Opened Police Stations in U.S. and Canada to Monitor Chinese Citizens." So that is the report that, yeah. And it says China has opened dozens of overseas police service stations around the globe to monitor its citizens living abroad, including one location in New York City and three in Toronto. These operations, police and judicial cooperation violate the international rule of law and may violate the territorial integrity in third countries involved in setting up a parallel police mechanism using illegal methods, reads a report by Safeguard Defenders, a human rights watchdog released earlier this month. The report, titled 110 Overseas Chinese Transnational Policing Gone Wild, details China's extensive efforts to combat fraud by its citizens living overseas, in part by opening several police stations on five continents that have assisted Chinese authorities in carrying out policing operations on foreign soil. Europe is home to most of the police stations, with locations spread across the continent in places such as London, Amsterdam, Budapest, Athens, Paris, Madrid, Frankfurt. North America is home to four of the stations, with three locations in Toronto and one in New York City. In all, there are 54 such stations in 30 different countries. So we got over 54 police stations, Chinese police stations, in 30 different countries. The report details how China has attempted to combat the growing issue of fraud and telecommunication fraud by Chinese nationals living abroad, running operations that have resulted in 230,000 Chinese nationals being persuaded to return to China voluntarily over the last few years have faced criminal prosecution. The Chinese government has claimed that the stations provide vital services to its citizens living abroad. Guys, hold on 1 second. 1 second. Hold on 1 second. Door. I had somebody at the door, so let me go ahead and get back to where we was at. I do apologize. It says the report details how China has attempted to combat the growing issue of fraud and telecommunication fraud by Chinese nationals living abroad, running operations that have resulted in 230,000 Chinese nationals being persuaded to return to China voluntarily over the last year to face criminal prosecution. The Chinese government has claimed that the stations provide vital services to its citizens living abroad, though the report notes that many of these services, many of the services are those that will be traditionally carried out by an overseas embassy. Instead, the report argues that the stations have been used to enhance China's overseas law enforcement capabilities and possible violation of international law. The report also outlines the potential human rights abuses associated with the stations, including using harassment and intimidation methods such as threatening the family members of overseas citizens. The stations have also served as centers to spread Chinese government propaganda and to monitor the behavior and opinions of Chinese nationals. As these operations continue to develop and new mechanisms are set up, it is evident that these countries, governed by the standards set by universal human rights and the rule of law, urgently need to investigate these practices to identify the local actors at work, mitigate the risk, and effectively protect the growing number of those targeted, the report concludes. So basically, you got people sitting up here talking about the Chinese, this and that, or whatever. First off, once these people leave China and come over here to the United States and whatnot, this should be a United States issue. So exactly, China talk about monitoring their actual citizens and this and that. It almost seems like it's some kind of spy network that China's actually setting up, and the fact that the United States is actually going along with this, is even crazier than anything I've ever heard. You have Chinese nationals coming over here. Who knows what kind of intel and everything else that they're feeding back to actual China. The United States allows it because the United States has allowed China to buy up so much of its debt. China's his number one trading partner. So the U.S. has to go along to get along. And at this point right here, you're giving up. I believe this is going to be a security issue down the road. You can't depend on foreign national people to policing your own people. And it gets to the point now we're starting to see why we have this Asian hate bill. Now it's starting to make more sense. The fact that you can allow China to go ahead and even set up and put up a damn police station. Now we understand why they got an Asian crime bill passed. Now we understand when the COVID came out, why y'all had to change the name from the Wuhan and all of that to just talking about the coronavirus and COVID. Now we see why these Chinese businesses was getting millions of dollars, even probably tens of millions of dollars when you had the COVID pandemic, because the United States government is pretty much in bed with the Chinese, and they're allowing all of this stuff to happen. Nowhere in the world, I doubt seriously that you're going to, like I say, you would not see Iraq with a police station here in the United States of America. Certain countries are not going to have police stations set up in the United States of America. I seriously doubt that you have an Afghan police station in New York City. But China, like I say, who's your number one trade partner, also supposedly one of your biggest enemies in this and that, both of you manipulate the currency and everything else. This is beyond crazy. I've never even heard anything like this. So now we see, and in 54 countries, this is let China's going ahead, and right now China's making a move. They see that the United States is kind of slipping. They're making a move. They want that number one spot. The fact of the matter that in 54 countries, And I'm sorry, what was that? 54. They had 54 police stations in over 30 different countries, 5 different continents. So the Chinese reach is really starting to grow globally. So you can expect there's no telling what kind of intel that China's actually providing the United States on just the regular citizens that's living here in the United States of America. So we always hear about when it comes to Russia, we hear about the propaganda and this and that. They talking about the election a couple years ago and how you had Russian bots and stuff influencing this and influencing that. Now you got to start wondering exactly how much are these Chinese actually influencing when it comes to just everyday life. Who knows what kind of surveillance that we are Americans are under because of the Chinese right here. And like I say, you can't, and I don't blame the Chinese 100% because the Chinese couldn't do it if the United States government did not give them the backing and the blessings to go ahead and do this. So this is 110% all about the United States of America and its greed. What is the United States getting out of this by letting China come here, a foreign entity, somebody that you've never been high on, and you're sitting up here and you're allowing them in New York City of all cities, the financial marketplace of the world, the most notable city, probably the most famous city in the world, maybe the most visited United States city in the world. Like when you think about America, the first place that comes to mind is New York City. So now you got Chinese with actual police, the police station. And now look at the proximity between you have one in New York City and you have a couple in Toronto. How far is Toronto, even though it's in Canada and it's across the Canadian border? How far is Toronto even from New York City? So now you have this global intel that the Chinese have, 5 different continents, North America too. In North America, we got 3 up in Canada, we got 1 in the United States. They might as well go ahead and put something in South America as well too. The Caribbean, we know how so many black people in the Caribbean are mixed with Asian and this and that. So I wouldn't be surprised if Jamaica wouldn't be the next place that they'd actually put a little police station as well on that too, because they pretty much own a lot of those Caribbean islands as well too. So you see the global muscle that China's flexing at this point right now, and the United States is sitting up here and they're allowing it, which is just to me is just a head scratch. I'm completely at a loss for right here. When I saw this, my man Jay, he actually sent me this, and I wouldn't even known. Jay sent me this, and it was from the Washington Times, and he was like, "Have you heard about this?" And I said, well, "No, I haven't heard about this. Let me check it out or whatever." And sure enough, from different sources and stuff like that, you start seeing that that they're actually they actually going ahead and they're actually allowing the Chinese to go ahead and put police stations in the United States of America, like as if we don't have enough issues with the damn cops that's over here already. Now we're gonna have are the Chinese gonna be allowed to arrest American citizens? That's what I want to know. Go ahead and unmute your mic. Is it Nimby? I'm sorry.
Oh, Nimobi. Hi.
No.
United States, China owns United States. United States owns China so much money. That's it, and that's part of the global takeover. China's taking over everywhere through the shores and everything. That's the plan, and they in together too with Russia. That's the plan. The army. That's it. We're done for.
Hey, well, you won't get me. You won't get any disagreements from me on that. Like I say, to me, when I heard this whole story, the entire story just sounded so suspect. Like I say, as if we don't have enough drama here with the cops already, American born, Nazi white supremacists up here, and now you're gonna bring the Chinese with their anti-black hatred towards black people. It seems like you just got another overseer on the plantation now. Enough. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
So I just wanted to say, I don't know if you guys remember that Donald Trump was trying to get out of bed with China. So I feel like that's why they want him out of office. Because China owns the United States. We own too much money that we don't have the money to pay them back. And people don't want to admit the truth. People don't want to admit it, but it is definitely the truth. China owns us. Okay? In what country you can go to a different country and have a police station there? Okay? So we have to be serious and be real about it. Okay, just because it's starting in New York, that doesn't mean it's gonna go. They might have a police station all around the world now, respectfully. But I'll end there. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, China owns a lot of the U.S. debt. I mean, like I said, they're our biggest trading partner. We probably owe them more debt than any other nation. So, like I say, now you kind of see exactly why they've been kissing so much tail and behind and whatnot. How they had to go ahead and jump to the whole anti-Asian hate bill and whatnot. Everybody was wondering, like, well, damn, that's fast. Like, how did you get everybody? Not only that, you had a bipartisan agreement on that. There was no Democrat or Republican saying, oh, we can't do this for them or this or that, or this is going to offend other groups. That, oh no, let's go ahead and get this signed. But before you knew it, was already signed. Anti Asian, and that's another reason why you have a lot of Asians attacking the affirmative action up in here because they got China to go ahead and back them up. The Asians are saying that we've been discriminated against, trying to get to these Ivy League schools and stuff like that. It's been unfair to us, and it's doing this and that to us, and it's reverse racism and all this other stuff. And now you know that they got Big Brother to sit up here and to back them on their political play. Fearless, go ahead, and then Native Son.
Yeah, what's going on? You know, just to back up the past two speakers, I mean, everybody said the same thing, which is beyond obviously true because, I mean, we've been seeing, like even with Trump right now, he's been in debt to the Bank of China, like maybe like I think like almost like $500 million dollars. I think before when he got into office, um, yeah, before he got into office. No, this is like during, yeah, kind of around the same time. And then you're looking at, there's a lot of owing that America has not been telling the American people about, and it becomes more of a deciding factor as where does America, where does America lie in the near future as far as, I mean, we can talk about a lot of things, politics, or elections, but this is the thing for a lot of us here who are of the lineage who built the country. Seriously, we have just as much a say so in this this display of what we're seeing, and it must be known just in that manner because there's nobody else that has, would you say that, not saying to say it like, I'm saying like as a question hypothetical, who would say that for all that lineage, I'm going to say American freemen, who all can say that they have any say so about what is owed to them besides the American people? Nobody. Nobody. And it wouldn't even be China to even be considered during the time of the 1800s or during the time of the 1900s. Because look, there was, I mean, we know that it's funny how the word China is sadly in a lot of our language and in names of some of people. Not saying, I'm not just saying ladies or women, but I'm just saying it's like we know about China, damn near China cap or
Definitely, I appreciate you, brother. Definitely appreciate you. Let's go ahead and get to I believe we have Native Son next. Native Son, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Good afternoon, everybody. Here's my perspective and what I see as a person who's lived in a foreign country. What my perspective is, the Chinese government is really saying to Chinese people that no matter where you go on earth, whether you're a resident or a citizen, you are still a subject of China, and that we will police you, and you are accountable to China, to the Chinese government and Chinese nationalism, no matter where you exist on earth. And I think one of the unexpressed aspects or objectives of these police stations is also monitoring how Chinese nationals or immigrants are treated within the countries that they moved. And so it's basically saying, there is no escaping China if you're a Chinese person. Thank you.
All right, appreciate that. Let me go ahead and get to enough. You go ahead, and then we're gonna get to Andre, and then we're gonna get to enough. Then we'll get to it's all about Yahweh, and we'll get to you, Andre.
No, you can let them go. Thank you.
All right, it's all about Yahweh. Go ahead, sister, unmute your mic.
Hi, good afternoon, Newstoter. Thanks for having this, this subject because I didn't know anything about it. So I appreciate you bringing this information to the forefront. Actually, Native Son, he answered my one of the questions I was going to have is this basically for the Chinese residents here in this United States and abroad, or like you were saying, Tota, whether or not they want to police, American citizens. I know that from one of the new YouTubers that the United States do the same. They, if you are an American citizen and you go to another country, they monitor you. They may not put up police stations or things of that nature inside of the country, but they monitor you and everything. And then you have to pay over $3,000 if you want to denounce your American citizenship here. So I believe every country, to some degree, monitor their citizens abroad. But I raised my hand because I know brought out a good point. I was listening to another YouTuber in the beginning when Obama presidency was finished, and if you notice, Biden's son was involved in China and in the Ukraine heavily. They was doing deals, and if anybody remember,
You said Obama?
okay, so it started in the Obama administration. So Hunter, his son, was overseas.
Well, that's Biden.
That's what I'm mentioning. Obama don't have
Hunter's his name, Hunter Biden.
right. Biden don't have a Obama don't have a son. It's Biden's son, Hunter, that was overseas in Ukraine and overseas in China, and they was doing some deals. One of the whistleblowers came out on Fox, and this is where his laptop started to surface. If you guys remember, Rudy Giuliani came out, was talking about the hard drive that was on Hunter Biden laptop, and even Trump was talking about it. But it was they were doing deals overseas, and the Biden's family was making millions of dollars for whatever transactions that they were doing. And there was a big thing going on that they was pushing to get Trump out of the presidency because he was actually obstructing the kind of influence that China wanted in the United States. And they said on a recorded line, this was back in China, that if we don't get Trump out, because we got Biden, we paid for him, he's already there. If we don't get Trump out, many of the things that we want to do is going to not work. And if you listen to Trump, a lot of his protests and stuff, he was talking about giving money back for because it's a lot of countries that the United States deal in, and they don't get any money from. They just let them go free. One of the most egregious countries that was doing this was China, and so he was going after them real tough to try to retrieve back any money and things of that nature. So it even went back prior to the all the way back to Obama presidency when he was the vice president. How the Biden family worked hand in hand with China and Ukraine, and look at what is happening now. Since Biden been back inside of China and Ukraine has been getting a lot of handouts and money and all kinds of stuff since the Biden family got into that. So I land there. Thank you.
Yes, that's true. We were dealing with China, Biden was.
Thank you, sister. I definitely appreciate you. And in the jumbotron, y'all, to the far right, the very first one on the far right, you'll see the actual article I put in there from the New York Post. You can go ahead and check that out. You can go ahead and read in its entirety. It'll take you to the Newstoter website where it was curated as well. So we're live streaming this on YouTube as well too. So like I say, thank you to everybody who came out this Saturday just to get up in this conversation and hear a little bit about what's going on and whatnot. I definitely greatly appreciate that, y'all. So make sure, if you have not read that article, make sure that you go ahead. It's in the actual Jumbotron here in the Twitter space. You guys can go ahead and you can check that out and just see exactly, like I say, one of my people, Jay, went ahead and let me know about this a couple days ago. And I was like, well, I haven't heard about this, Jay. Let me check it out. Sure enough, like I say, you see this and you're like, damn, what's really going on? And to get back to your point, sister, Yahweh, like you say, this happens in different countries and stuff like that. But my thing here is that, like I say, with as much issues that we're having with the police, you really have to kind of monitor this type of thing right here, because nobody knows that we have enough issues with police brutality and qualified immunity and everything else getting ran through the ground by these race soldiers right here in this country. Now you got another group of people who's not particularly fond of you either. Let's be honest, they're not particularly fond of you. Now you're giving them the ability to come over here and police. If they're going to be policing, they need to go ahead and police strict. They need to police Chinatown and their little areas and stuff like that. And they should have no jurisdiction to arrest any American citizen, as far as I'm concerned. If you want to go ahead and you want to deport your people, arrest them and send them back to Shanghai and Beijing and all the rest of the places, fine. But you should have absolutely no jurisdiction to arresting any American citizen whatsoever. So that's my take. That's my feeling on it. Andre, go ahead and unmute your mic, bro.
Hey, what's going on, people? How you doing?
We're doing good. How you doing?
Good. I wanted to share just a passage from this book that I posted in the chat. It kind of brings some historical context to the rise and what we can learn from them. I'm a big advocate of, the Black community taking some lessons from history and in regards to things that apply to us, right? I don't like this idea that, we can't learn from different groups just because they may be in an adversarial position right now. But, so when it comes to China, I just want to read here really quick from this book. Here we go. So, alliances between USSR and the People's Republic of China reach back to the 1920s and continued until 1960. China had resisted Western colonialism to remain sufficiently to remain united, and it had suffered deeply, humiliating, including the establishment of certain Western colonial enclaves. Fast forward so a combined counteroffensive. The Japanese had invaded them, and they were occupying them until 1945. A combined counteroffensive against the Japanese ended with a victory, and in 1945, immediately a civil war erupted. It ended in 1949 with a complete victory of the Chinese Communist Party. The capitalist forces and army went out on the small offshore island of Taiwan. It broke away from the Chinese mainland and is now effectively an independent country with a capitalist economic system. With its victory in 1949, China's Communist Party leadership faced much of the same set of questions as Lenin in the USSR.
Hey, Andre, brother, not to cut you off real quick, but I'm just trying to say exactly how does this tie into the actual,
Okay, so yes, good question. Sorry. So the point is, China at first resisted the economic system, the dominant economic in the West with the United States, and basically, for-profit production. But the Chinese, they decided to operate group economics, and something that Claude Anderson advocates for. And they were able to kind of organize their labor. In China's case, it was the state, right? We're talking about a huge population, huge land, huge long history, and so they were united, and they wanted to remain united, and they still do. They're talking about Taiwan in a way that's saying, and you were touching on it earlier. And so I just wanted to point out why China is so important right now, and what we can learn from their rise to prominent in the world stage. And for Black people, the Black community, we have to do that ourselves. We have to circle our wagons and operate as a unit. Unity is the name of the game, and that is what led to a lot of China's success. And that meant investing, right? And all of their operations, all of their strategy meant, investing into.
Not to cut you off, brother. And normally, I just pretty much let people go. And I get what you're saying about China and how far they've come along in the past 40, 50 years and this and that. I really still don't see what that has to do with China putting a police station over here in the United States of America, because for one, the U.S. government had to allow this. So the U.S. government went along and they allowed China to go ahead and put an actual police station right here in America. So I get what you're saying about the group economics and whatnot. And I believe in group economics. I believe in Dr. Claude Anderson's model. I believe that if we're really going to take it to that next level, that's something that we have to really seriously sit down and do. But nonetheless, let's also be honest. Now, China is a country. China is the largest country, has the largest population in the world. So the things that China can do as a group and a nation, as a people, is a lot different than when you have 45, 50 million Black people. That's not the majority, that don't have their own country and stuff in the United States. Now, I agree with you. There's some models that we can take from the Asian model, from China and Japan as well too, about how Japan.
So, first of all, I just want to point out that China, they did have some, what would you say, compromise that involved in their economic growth, right? So there was a lot of underdevelopment of a majority of the working class. A lot of people went under conditions that were very poor, And
yeah, I get that. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, brother, about how poor China was. And like I say, at one time, China wasn't much more than a third world country as well themselves. So
my point is, they had to capitulate to the West, in the United States in particular, in order to get their shit done. And they have,
But what? But I'm saying, but what does that have to do with China? You know, having an actual police station here in New York City, China having a police station and 54 police stations in 30 different nations, and now the United States has them with one in New York City, which is the most populous city in the entire world, a financial capital of the entire world. You have one. You have a couple in Toronto. So now you have the Chinese that's over here in North America themselves with 4 police stations, three in Canada and one in New York, and Toronto and New York aren't that far apart. So my thing is that we can talk about the financial capabilities of China and how they came up and this and that or whatever. My thing of the matter is just in terms of security risk or whatever, we shouldn't have a foreign nation sitting up here with a police station up in our. I mean, because they could.
I want you to get the lesson that I'm trying to drop here, brother. Space, real quick. Let me
brother. Hold on, hey, brother, hold on, don't overtalk me, brother. The lesson that you're getting here, what you're saying is that we're talking. I know you're talking about the financial thing aspect, this and that. I'm saying, how does that deal with what we're talking about in the actual space? And I'm gonna give you 30 seconds. Nobody interrupt it. I'm gonna give you 30 seconds to come to that conclusion before we move on to the next speakers. But I'm trying to figure out, what does China's past and stuff like that, being a red nation and stuff, who's now accepted capitalism and all throughout the world. I understand that the United States' biggest trade partner. What on earth does that have to do with China putting a police station up here in New York City when they're talking about they're worried about their actual citizens? If you're worried about your citizens that much, then you know what? Bring your citizens back to where they was from. Bring them back to your country where you can look out and make sure they're doing everything they need to do. So I'm gonna give you 30 seconds to go ahead and come to a point on that, bro. Go.
Okay. Yes, I was going to say. You brought up a great point, right? And I just wanted to make that simple connection that you pointed out yourself. China was very, very poor, and now what we see now is a success story, and we can learn from the successes of China. It's nothing wrong. It doesn't harm us to do that. And so, I want us to learn how they got so powerful. It was because they practiced unification and organization of the collective. And that's all I wanted to point out, is that in order for us to answer that problem and find a solution to the problem that China's posing to our ability to do what we want to do, is to learn from what they did to gain their power, that they're able to do what they're doing to us. You understand? So that's all I was trying to say, brother, is that we need to practice the thing that got them to the point where we're even talking about them right now, because they were a nothing country up until 1949 when they decided to work as one unit, and they haven't looked back since. And we need to learn from that and do the same. Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
No problems, bro. And it's still, to me, that's still apples and oranges, because you're still talking about. I know the brother's gone and he wanted to. You're still talking about a nation that you talking about. China is one of the oldest nations on the face of the earth, as compared to one of the newest group of people on the face of the earth, of people who weren't even in existence probably 1,000 years ago or whatever. So to sit up here and say that it's the exact same thing, I kind of have I kind of don't understand that, like I say, and I'm trying to figure out exactly how does that tie into China coming over here, a foreign nation, putting a damn police station up in the heart of America, in America's biggest, most important city, New York City. I'm just trying to figure out, how does that even?
Andrew is a coon. Just move on now.
I'm just trying to figure out. That makes no sense whatsoever. Mr. Engaging, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah, I want to really comment on this. I want to say that China's not the only country that has a police station or does interaction with the police on American soil. One seems to be looking at Israel as well. So we need to really have a deep conversation as Black people and not just look at China. There's other players involved in that perspective. That's just my observation of the situation. What I wanted to bring, that I noticed that the other people are not bringing to the table. So I think that there should be a universal law that none of these people shouldn't be policing us because they're not American citizens. And let alone, they shouldn't even be doing that on American soil. There was it was Al Jazeera, I think, that had a big documentary about how the Jewish people, Israel
No problem, no problem. Enough. I know. Did you want to say something before we get to the other callers, the other listeners?
You're fine, thank you.
All right. Cash, go ahead and unmute your mic, and we're gonna get to fear this.
Yeah, mic check. I'm on Bluetooth. It's chill.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, you good.
Yeah. Hey. Yeah, so I'm out here in New York, right in Brooklyn. I drive through the neighborhoods all the time. Chinatown, Manhattan. I think this is our fault as Black Americans because we made rush hour popular, and that made Chinese people policing in America seem cool. Nah, but seriously though, what jurisdiction does these Chinese police have over American citizens? That's one first thing I want to know. Shout out to Mister who mentioned that there are other communities that police us. Although a little bit off topic since the title is about China, and we should speak to their unique clash with our communities. I've seen Asian people out in the streets, and specifically Chinese, taking cans and stuff out the trash cans like it's a job of theirs. But that's something that the homeless did disproportionately in order to receive enough money to have food every day. You feel me? But anyways, let me get to there are Muslim cops out here, and there's Jewish police forces out here. And I think that's hilarious that there are religious institutions that have a police force, because it should be God governing us all, according to them. Lastly, I want to say this. Oh, actually, hold on, 2 more points. If we're trying to be like China, but the dude already left, I think the better way of suggesting that is finding cheap labor on the continent and cheap resources the same way China is now. They're, in a way, colonizing the continent in modern day. I've seen it with my own eyes in Zimbabwe. If he's suggesting that we take that same model, if we go for cheap labor, resources, and land on the continent, maybe that's something we can entertain. But saying to be like the Chinese because they destroyed their middle class, it was incoherent to me. And then my last point, in California, they're suggesting a Freedmen Affairs Bureau that will have multiple different branches. We still have until July 2023 to call in, just like we call into Twitter, just like we call into Facebook or fan base or whatever. We can call into these public hearings and tell them what we see reparations as. I'm the person who calls in every time and say, don't forget about our 40 acres and an update to the mule, 40 acres and a Tesla, plus our direct cash payments, lifetime payments, tax-free, as has been set a precedent by Oregon. But in California, I've been suggesting specifically that part of the Freedmen's Bureau, that they have a branch for Black-owned media, shout out Newstoter, that they have a branch for 2A training so that we can get registered firearms, and that we have a branch for investigation so that when a Black person is even 1 out of 10 people killed, we still have our own investigation bureau showing up. So shout out to China for showing that delineation for policing is possible. Let's use this to argue that we as Black Americans need our own community policing and a federal branch that investigates local crimes, because we believe it might be local authorities supporting it or covering it up. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And let me get back to that other dude that left out here, Andre. Like, first off, let's not sit up here and compare China, which is one of the oldest nations in the history of this world, to, like I say, the one of the youngest group of people on the face of the earth. So let's not even, that makes no sense. You're talking about a place with over 1 billion people on there. China goes back, is a historical country and whatnot. So to sit up here and say that we need to do what Chinese do and this and that or whatever, let's also not forget too that. And people, they somehow miss this, but you've had the United States and other countries invest into China as well too. For all of the stuff that China went through and whatnot, the economic downfalls they've seen, you've had the United States and other countries actually invest money into actual China. So a lot of the stuff that China did, let's give them their props for pulling themselves up and this and that. But they also had help along the way as well. And to sit up here and talk about that Black people need to go ahead and copy the Chinese model and this and that, Black people do need to start investing in themselves. They do need to do group economics. I'm totally 100% about that, but you cannot compare a nation with over a billion people, the largest nation on earth in terms of its actual population, to if Black people were their own country and they'd be one of the smallest countries in the world and stuff like that. So that makes absolutely no sense what Bro was talking about. I don't even know what he was talking about. A lot of times we get to the point now where we got a lot of our people sitting up here, and just to go ahead and do this whole kumbaya talk, they got to include any and everybody and tell like, we need to do this, we need to do that. No, we need to do stuff that's going to work for us. And we can't sit here and copy everybody's model. We can take bits and pieces from that model and form our own our own model, but we can't sit up here because there's so many differences in how people get established and how they do things. So we need to go ahead and create something that's going to work for us and not try to be China junior copycat or whatever. Because like I say, China is a historical it was a kingdom and everything else. Empire goes back thousands of years, probably the longest continuous run country on earth. So to sit up here and say this and that, we got people that's got their own, they know their history, they know everything about themselves or whatever. They don't have to hear people giving them a watered down version of their history and their lives and this and that and try to compare them to us and try to almost basically shame us. Well, the Chinese in 1949 decided to do this and do that. Great for the Chinese. Great for the Chinese. The Chinese have their own country and they're looking after their people, which I can't fault them. I can't blame them. If your people around the world, it's great. And like Cash said, the only thing they're going to do is they're colonizing over there in the continent of Africa. They don't understand it. These puppets that they have for leaders over there giving away all their mineral resources for pennies on a dollar. So now they'll have a new colonial master in the next 30, 40 years. They exchange their white ones and their Arab ones, and they'll now have an Asian one that'll sit up here and marry their tribes and become the damn chiefs and everything else and push them off of their lands like as if like I mean how many times do you have to see this story replayed over and over and over again? So yeah, if we had access to a lot of the lands and minerals and stuff over there in damn Africa, we would be like the richest people on earth because we know exactly what to do with this stuff. So I don't know what this guy was talking about. Phil, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah, I just wanted to say to add to just add to some cash gains and just for the conversation, but in the demands with Donald. Okay, right. Donald Trump, he has a case that's coming up in New York with the Attorney General Letitia James in reference to, I think, the same things I was saying before about owing and some things that he has in dealing with what he has done in superbly for his stake thing with China. Just basically, I think all this stuff is just coming to a forefront to be like they're gonna start letting out troops. But at the same time, I'm getting really irked by my own people. We need to start babbling and talk about nothing and start really getting on to who we are called by our name and all of the history that we have in this country. We have too much of a contribution in America to be wavered in talking about nothingness and stuff that doesn't move the needle for us. We have too much. I mean, too much. Too much. We don't have time to be bickering about BS. Really. I mean, from Twitter or from the social media aspect, we have to be on one accord, man. I mean, we of course we have differences and things that we like to have in our private homes and stuff like that. But look, when we come out to the public, we are really the same. We are one people. We're the same people. We need to be on that aspect of really making some changes and really have that voice to the United Nations, to the government, for real. Because this stuff is getting too old, man. We got too much that we're wasting time to having such vitriol for each other on nothingness. And it's not coming to a fine-tuned cone on what we're talking about. We need to be in a dignified manner and let out we got too much data, too much historical background in the country of America that we built. We kept the damn country like how it is, but now look at this right here. Look at how you have a communist country in a democratic setting, and you would think that, well, hell, is it so much of a communist country that they're here already established with a police station? You start thinking about stuff like that, like, what is about the difference in governments? Is communist, democratic? It's like, hey, but the thing about it is that they have their employees right here on what they're doing. And what the hell we doing? Talking about bullshit on Twitter. We need to talk about these type of subjects. Because look, we got at a point where, look, if it's going to be do or die about our existence here, and you're going to let out or keep away from so much that we have done to talk about junk food, Cheetos and Doritos and whatever, grape Kool-Aid, and you're forgetting about we are the ones that had the nourishing of the the real meal to bring that soul back into people, into us, then we doomed. We're doomed. I'm gonna land my plane on this.
Thank you. I appreciate it. For any of you guys that's in the room, make sure you go ahead and you share out the actual link to the room. Go ahead and share it out. Go ahead and tweet it out so that your listeners, your followers, anybody that rocks with you can go ahead and get a chance to catch this important dialogue that we're having. You can also support us on Cash App, which is $Newstoter, $Newstoter. Enough. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
I just want to say this. I feel like people think the actual work is being done on Twitter, right? People are behind the scenes doing work, okay? Like, for instance, I am in Oregon, right? So what I'm working on is the Oregon bill, okay? Behind the scenes. These are things that I'm doing, right? And Twitter is Twitter. I feel like you guys have implemented thinking that Twitter Spaces and social media is the way that is going to get us reparations. Working in your communities, working in your states, working with your legislature, okay, you know what I'm trying to say. Doing things like that is going to help us get reparations. Working on the back end with people that are in your communities, in your states, those are things. Not saying that this is not a good platform to come to get information from different people, see what they're doing in their states to try and help you. But I don't believe that we're doomed. I have to say that. I don't think we're doomed. I think that people are actually doing the work. I know for sure in Washington, they have a whole thing going on behind the scenes that none of you guys know about. And so that's my thing. People are actually doing work. They're doing work. This is social media. This is a virtual reality, okay? Please do not get sucked into thinking because we come here and we have conversations that people are not actually doing work, calling their senators, calling their House of Representatives in their state. You understand what I'm saying? People are working, and we are not doomed. And I just want to put that out there, and don't cast that doubt because I just want to say everything has been left onto my generation, right? To what was happening back then. You know, people say that they're disappointed in what's going on right now. I'm disappointed in what happened back in the day. Nobody was really out here pushing for reparations or getting the message out there. Now it's on my generation to try and do everything, you know? So let's make sure that we're being honest and transparent about what is actually going on. Twitter Spaces are Twitter Spaces. Twitter is Twitter. Social media is social media. But what are you actually doing in your state to push reparations or to even get a task force or get something done in your state? And I'll end there. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's go to It's All About Yahweh. Go ahead and unmute your mic, sister.
Thank you, Newstoter, for allowing me to speak again. The article states that by China putting these stations around the world, even though they said that it's to monitor their own citizens, it breaks international law. So my question is, what is the international community like the UN, who is responsible for overseeing these kind of things, what are they doing to stop China in its expansion? And it reminds me a lot about how the WHO organization responded to the C-19 virus. So I just wanted to throw that to you or anybody in the room that can answer that if they have any insight.
I'm gonna be honest, sister. I don't know. Like I say, I just heard about this story myself a couple days ago. So I be honest, and this to me came as a shock. And I know Mr. Engagement was saying that you have other communities with police stations and stuff in the United States. I definitely, you know what I'm saying. I've never even heard of that before either. So to me, this is a shock. Like I would think, I know that we have, and in different countries and stuff, you have military bases and stuff that you have foreign nations have military bases on certain countries and continents and stuff like that. I believe the continent of Africa has over about close to 30 foreign military bases on their land. But just to hit at America, how they pride themselves also on the, America prides itself on keeping its border supposedly clean as possible in terms of having foreign nations and stuff coming. I know we have embassies and stuff like that from different nations, but this was just surprising here. I'm not exactly sure what they're going to do about it. I don't like the fact that you have, like I said, we have enough issues with the actual police that were born in this country. Now you're sitting up here and you're talking about bringing the Chinese over here, another group of people who, let's be honest, they're not that big on Black Americans and stuff like that. They have their own biases and prejudice when it comes to dealing with Black Americans. So I believe it was Mr. Engaging or Cash. He might have made the statement about it in terms of the jurisdiction, what can they do and this and that. Because like I say, I feel like if the little lame excuse they're giving that you want to be able to monitor your people, to me, that's cold talk right there. When you sitting up here talking about you want to monitor, first off, if you want to monitor them, you keep them in your country, on your land. So you're sitting up here saying that you want to monitor your people, for all we know, could be damn spies. We want to monitor your people in the United States of America and see exactly what they're doing. So if you're monitoring your people, that means you're also monitoring our people as well too. Where's this police station at? What area of town is it? In the white area of town? Is it in the Black area of town? All of this stuff needs to be addressed and needs to be brought up. So like when you're sitting up here and just the key word, we're going to monitor. Okay. So you're basically going to be doing surveillance and you're going to basically be spying on people. And you're saying that you're using your people just as a way to throw everybody else off. But really, I don't really understand. I don't understand the logic of the United States when it comes to certain things with China, but except that China has a lot of their debt in their hands and they're doing anything they can not to really piss them off. So to me, just the wording behind that you're going to monitor your people. Like if it's that pressing, if it's that big of an issue, then you go ahead, you contact the United States government. You say that you have so-and-so living in the United States. We need to get them back over here as soon as possible. There's some kind of, because there's some kind of a threat to the security of your nation or something like that. You're sitting up here worried about, for one thing, if your people done left, and not only that, if they're citizens of your country or whatever, and they're living over here in America, now they become America's problem. So to me, I'm just flabbergasted with this whole idea, this whole thing. It makes absolutely no sense to me. It's something that needs to, and you don't hear the mainstream media really talking about it. The New York Post, the Washington Times, I give them credit. They have had articles. You have, I think Fox, they've had articles talking about it, this and that. But the fact that this doesn't have everybody else's blood boiling at this point in time, it's just things that you need to look out for and just look at. I mean, this is something that all these people that talk about their freedoms and their rights and this and that, and they don't want to be recorded, they don't want to be this and that or whatever. None of these people are coming out saying anything about this. China is a foreign nation. China and the United States constantly go back and forth, even though they do business. They don't like each other. They do business for the sake of doing business. Both of them want to be top dog. And now you're sitting up here and now we got the Chinese. We already got to buy all of their crappy things and stuff like that. All of their imports that we have to take in and all of this stuff that is made in China and all this other garbage material and junk stuff that they send over here that they're forcing down our throats to buy and whatnot. It used to be about made in America. Now it's made in China. Now we got them in our backyard. Who knows what? I mean, and I can assume, and this is my personal opinion, that nobody else, my personal opinion, that they over here and they're monitoring their people, they're monitoring everybody else they can too, trying to get intel. They want to know exactly how they can take over everything else. And the United States is so stupid and so greedy, they're going to sit right along and go along with this nonsense right here. Before I kick it to you, Mr. Engagement, let me give a shout out to LaFear. Thank you for your contribution on Cash App. Mr. Engagement, go ahead and unmute your mic.
All right, thank you, fam. One of my OGs, I was driving with. He was in the car briefly, and he overheard the conversation, and I let him know. And I posted a comment. My OG asked, "Did the United States, have a police base in China? Like, was that ever addressed? Because I don't think I saw it in the article."
Now that much I don't know. We know how the United States is. It wouldn't be totally shocking to me if they did. I mean, at the same time, I would assume that China, we know they have all these embassies and these other places in these nations. I would be I would be a little bit surprising with the relationship between the West and China throughout the times when you had the opium wars and all that other stuff. I would be surprised if China, as strong as it is now, would actually allow the United States to put a police department there. But I'll be honest, nothing surprises me. So I wouldn't be totally shocked if the United States did not have a police department there. And I'm gonna say this right here, Mr. Gage. I don't care if they have one there or not. They still shouldn't have a Chinese police station over here. You shouldn't have a Chinese police station over here. You shouldn't have a German police station over here. You shouldn't have a Spanish police. The only police station that you need to have over here is an American police station. No foreign police stations need to be on American soil, period. We already, like I say, you have one of the worst police agencies in the world. We don't need to muddle it up anymore. We don't need to go ahead and put any more people in there and make it even worse than it already is, because it's bad enough right now. Address your situation and your problem here. Get rid of qualified immunity. Worry about defunding the police and things of that nature right here. Do not sit and put up another colonizer and put them in power as well too. So no, I'm definitely, I don't know if they have one or not, but in China, and I'm gonna be honest, I could care less if they got one in China and all over Asia and Europe and everything else. Just don't do it here.
Yeah, no, I definitely do agree with you. That was just one of the questions that my OG was posing, because I was just looking like, that's just weird, but also not weird, because you got Interpol that comes through. There's a lot of other foreign intelligence agencies that do interact on American soil and around. So like I just don't think that they should be operating like that. I think that that's not really good at all. But that's just my opinion, though.
Oh, and I'm in agreement with you. And don't think now I wasn't going off on you, anything like that. Like, I'm in agreement with you. Like I say, I don't know if they have anything else on foreign lands or whatever. I'll be honest, I don't live on those foreign lands. So what the United States do, we know how underhanded they are. What they do, I can't really say. But I'm just saying, as an American citizen right here, I don't want these foreign nations having their police departments over here. Like I said, we have enough of an issue already with you guys. We don't need you. And to me, this could also be looked at as another way of bringing in new muscle, like helping you to go ahead and lock it down even more or whatever. So I'm kind of looking at it as all of that right now at this point in time right here. Go ahead, Mr. Engaging.
I look at them as the enforcers of the hate crime bill, because I don't see white community really enforcing hate crimes, quote unquote, against, like, if anybody was against the black community or the Asian community and such. So I look at them as their enforcers for the hate crime bill.
Yeah, and you see how quick they was able to get that hate crime bill. As soon as that pandemic came up, in a matter of no time, they was not only able to get, and Sister Yahweh put in there, she was talking about the amount of money they got up there in New York for the pandemic and stuff like that. Nobody business suffered more than damn black businesses when the pandemic came. And you did not see these politicians sitting up here trying to curry favor and trying to give black people something. They all voted unanimously to go ahead and give Asians the anti-hate bill. They all voted to go ahead and bail them out with the pandemic and stuff, give their businesses. Like I said, you got black businesses that came and went with that pandemic. They are no longer in business. Nobody gave a damn. Nobody had sympathy. Nobody had a broke heart for them. Nobody went up there. You did not get any kind of bipartisan bill passed. And okay, you know what? Black people, let's go ahead and give their business something, because they're suffering more than anybody else in this pandemic. The same with the hate bill. I feel bad, and nobody should be attacked like that. Nobody should be beaten or whatever. What they went through during the pandemic, nobody, no black person supported Asians being attacked. At the same time, let's be honest here, the most attacked people by FBI stats, the most hate crimes committed against anybody in this country by the largest margin is against black Americans. Y'all have not sat up here and said we're going to create an anti-black hate bill because you guys know historically have gotten absolute dog kicked out of you. Nobody sat up here and said anything of the matter of such. Nobody. When it comes to that, it's all. And then not only that, you try to make black people the face of all the Asian attacks. Like, you made black people the face of all these anti-Asian attacks. So this was done on purpose. So, like I say, whenever it comes to what black people need, and when you have the paperwork, you have the receipts, you have the sources to go ahead and show that, hey, there's more hate crimes committed against us. We're the ones who were impacted the most by the pandemic and the loss of business. Nobody gives a damn. Nobody sits up there and say, hey, you know what? We're going to go ahead and we're going to do something for y'all. Nobody. Smooth, go ahead and unmute your mic.
What's up, brother? Yeah, man, I just look at it as another move white supremacists make it early, because we already know they got their honorary white supremacists. It's just the Asians and the Latinos. Now, I hear that 20, I think it's 30 years they said from that. Might have been 30 years from that. A lot of the white supremacists won't be here. So I think they move with their honorary white supremacists in early to be on the same tactics. That's how much they hate black people. So it's just another chess move by them, and that's how they get.
And yeah, like I said, they bring an extra muscle here. The fact that you now got you have Asians, now you got a Chinese police department in the heart of New York City. I mean, think about that for a second. A Chinese police department. That means that the federal government had to give these people their approval and their blessing to go ahead and set up a damn Chinese police department in New York City. When people think about America, the first place they think about, they don't think about Disney World, they don't think about Hollywood. Even the first city that pops in their mind is New York City, the Statue of Liberty. Very first thing that anybody thinks about when they think about the United States of America. And now we went ahead and we just went ahead and gave the actual Chinese their own little key to the city by allowing them to bring in bringing their own police force, which is just, like I say, you're right. That I think that they're using this as a way down the road. Like, hey, we got, because right now they have a shortage of police. They got a shortage of people trying to become police officers in this country. So if you have a shortage, then what's the next thing you do? Well, you can go ahead and you can just bring in an already police force already here. You bringing in these people here. There is no shortage of Chinese over there. So I'm sure they can go ahead and bring them and fill up the police department as much as possible. Now you don't even have to worry about taking American orders or falling underneath American rank, because you guys have your own police department right here in the good old United States of America. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that you can't even write and make up here. Nordis, go ahead and unmute your mic, sister.
Hey, good morning. Peace, love, and reparations to everybody. Thank you, Newstoter, for holding this space. I'm not going to say a lot because I came in late, so I don't want to be redundant. But I'm just going to pose a question and then we can discuss it afterwards and then make a statement if you don't mind. Have we looked into what powers have been imputed to this Chinese police department? Because anytime, it's just like when you have commissioners of service judges, the United States government or that state government or the federal government has to transfer those powers, and those powers have to, fall in line with existing law. So do we know what powers they've been given, what weaponry they're allowed to use, what is their jurisdiction within the city of New York? And I think we also need to keep an eye. Oh, and also, oh my goodness, because one of the things besides the obvious that I'm concerned about is that, of course, they're going to target Black Americans. But the thing that's really weird is these Black immigrants really need to get their radar up, and I've been telling them this for years. You're a tool, you're going to be broken, and they're the ones committing the majority of the Black hate crimes against Asians. As we know, 75% of those crimes are committed by white male Republicans. But another thing I wanted to point out is, that the AAPI, Asian American Pacific Islanders, are also seeking to delineate. So with that in mind, are we looking to see if Japan, Vietnam, whomever, Korea, are going to start bringing their departments here? We need to look at how this is all part and parcel of globalism. And then what's my last thing? My last thing is, God, this was important. Gosh, I can't remember, but it's just so many things that we need to be looking at. And then for those who are interested in the Black migration to the southern states, this is a great reason why we need to do this. Thank you. Appreciate you guys. Peace, love, and reparations.
Thank you, sister. And just to get to your point, that's what we were discussing earlier. And at this point, we don't really know. This this is kind of a new topic that really the last week or so that I even came across right here. So at this point, I don't really know. Their main thing is they're saying, and they're giving the company line that they're here and they want to monitor what their basically what their citizens are doing in other countries and this and that. And I guess basically offer them a form of protection, yada 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 yada, blase squad. But you make up an interesting point when you're saying that. I'm sorry, who somebody said something?
No, I wanted to jump in because
real quick, I remember the last thing. I also think that China's notorious for suppressing and oppressing competition. So I think we also need to look at that. I know you guys have touched on a lot. Forgive me if I hit on things you've already said. Thank you.
Oh no, you're fine, sister. And True, hold on one second, brother. Go ahead and raise your hand, and I'll go ahead and I'll get to you. But at this point, sister, like I said, we don't know. We're kind of learning ourselves. The company line that they're giving is that they're basically trying to monitor their citizens and make sure that they're safe and this and that or whatever. So we just been trying to kind of put two and two together, and we see like, okay, well, now we kind of understand what this whole anti-Asian crime bill, how this thing got passed so fast and this and that, and some of the relief and benefits that they got from the actual COVID pandemic relief and those things of that matter as well too. So at this point, we really don't know. Who knows how much of this story really, how much more of it's going to come out is interesting to see, like I said. And then you made a valid point that do we also get to the point where you're going to have the Japanese, Koreans, the Vietnamese, and everybody else saying, you know what? Well, China has a police department over there in the United States of America. Let us go ahead and get our own police department. Is it going to get to the point where every ethnic group now in America is going to start having their own police departments to protect their people and everything else except Black Americans? So that's something also that we're gonna have to keep an eye on and look at. True, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah, I appreciate it. In regards to China, and I constantly always hear about the Asian AAPI. I can't really get the acronym correct. Hate crime bill, how it passed. Please understand. We have the James Byrd Act hate crime bill that has been passed. We have our own hate crime. When that horrible man went into Buffalo and killed those people in the grocery store, he was charged under the James Byrd, BYRD, hate crime. So when we talk about, how fast it passed, or, and so on, the Asian hate crime, we have had our Black American hate crime bill for well over 20 plus years.
Wait, hold on, sir. What American hate crime bill that was specifically for Black Americans are you talking? Can you put that in the jumbotron? Because I remember I remember Matthew Shepard when he got killed, the kid that was gay back in. Well, hold on 1 second, sir. I remember Matthew Shepard, the kid that got killed, the young man that got killed back in 98, 99 that was gay. And yeah, I remember James Byrd too, but I remember the bill actually passed mainly because of Matthew Shepard, the young gay guy that got killed for being gay. So I know what you're saying. Like that, to my knowledge, there's specifically never been a bill in this country that was specifically for Black Americans.
There's also not a such thing as an Asian hate crime bill. It's actually called the COVID-19 hate crime bill. Right. And they just use that for marketing. That bill is for every single person in the United States. We need to sit down, get a working group to study it, so we know how to use its mechanisms and access those grants that are available.
Very true. Very true. Very true. And I appreciate you saying that, Noir, because it isn't an Asian crime bill. It is specifically for, COVID. And like you said, how to procure those funds. When you talk about, I haven't heard of a Black hate crime bill protecting Black Americans. Again, I will put it in the purple section down here below. The James Byrd Act, I thought I put it in there, but I'm really bad at that. Then right now, China is saying, I have a friend who works with the FBI, that they are supposedly in 54 other countries. They have been working and so on and so forth. I understand the concern in regards to China being here of all countries. It's like, really? You all let China come in to America? They're supposedly here to pick up dissidents. One of the things we don't talk about in America is that
Chinese Americans are the number one group that overstayed their visas. They're the number one group that are here illegally. You don't hear that from, the GOP and so on and so forth. We don't, hear that. They're the number one groups of people. And right now, considering all the turmoil here in the last year since 2021, when they established in New York, this has been allowed. There's been a great deal of pushback in New York regarding this because, well, you're in New York City, China. So I appreciate you all having this space in regards to that because there's a lot of uproar in that regard. They're kind of like air marshals in the Chinese area of New York, kind of checking out people and so on. But again, there are deep concerns that they have the ability to do so. But also understand that the United States, as well as 194 other countries, operate Interpol in various countries around the world. So it's not uncommon. It's just really weird that a communist country that we, X, Y, and Z, don't float with, except, for economic reasons, are allowed to do this, quote, policing in our country. So, yeah, I agree. It is incredibly problematic in that regard. But also keep in mind, America is in well over 100 other countries under the guise of Interpol. So that's kind of their way in some respects. It's kind of weird, don't get me wrong, and I will put the James Byrd Act up, and I will put the article, well, I'll put it in the purple section down here on my dashboard, down here, and I will also link the article that the people that were killed in the Buffalo shooting, Black Americans that were killed, and how this killer was charged under the James Byrd Act. Okay, thank you, host.
All right, appreciate it. And the only thing I'm gonna say, bro, that killer that was he was charged. If it had happened to a group of white people, they would also use that same bill. That there's nothing on the books in America that is specifically designated specifically for Black Americans. If it happens to anybody in this country, they can also benefit from it as well too. That's what I'm saying. There's nothing specifically.
Can you let the facts and you read the actual bill before you absolutely disparage the entire thing?
Hold on, sir. I'm not disparaging anything. What I'm saying is that there is no bill that's passed in this country specifically for Black Americans. When people say that same thing about affirmative action and some of these other things, you let people know that no, that's not true. That whatever Black people can get, any other group can get as well too. If a Black group goes out there and they attack a white person or this and that, they can be charged with a hate crime as well too. There is nothing specifically in this country that was signed solely for Black Americans that only Black Americans could benefit from. Charlie, I know you had your hand. I know you requested to speak. I didn't see it, so go ahead and unmute your mic, bro.
Hey, what's up, Newstoter? I appreciate it, man. It's all good. Man, I've kind of always wondered, like, so people always talked about white people being, the minority and being, wiped off the earth because of their genetic material and all that. And it kind of sounds like we're waiting for them to disappear off the earth and just no longer be the Caucasoid. But what about the Asian? Because it's like that. It seems like to me, based upon research and just listening to scholars that we all listen to, Tariq Nasheed, Professor Black Truth, Dr. Khalid Muhammad, just anybody you could think of, it just sounds like we're waiting for a new oppressor, which will be the Chinaman who is conquering Africa today. So if we're fighting reparations for today, what if white people wiped off the earth today? And I don't want to get cut off or or just kind of cut short as far as like my speech. I'm not speaking violence. I'm not speaking violence at all. But at what point in time does violence come into play where it's like, okay, we're now delineating, which is good, cool. But if the Chinamen were to come into power today, which Tariq talked about, where it's like white people were to lead, white supremacists were to lead today, who's going to control these satellites in space? Who's going to control this and that, these industries that we were left out of? It would be the Chinamen. They're up next of oppression of the whole world, especially us. They're doing it in Africa already. At what point in time is it like, I'm not assigning violence, but it's like, at what point in time does violence come to play? Because it's like, we can't have these people, the Chinamen, having a police department in NYC, which I'm now hearing about today. I just got off work. I didn't know this was happening in New York. This is new to me as of within the past 30 minutes. I didn't know that. So by me finding that out, I live in California. It's like, well, damn, I already had a feeling they were up anyways. Well, I hate to say anyways, but it's like, what do we do about these people? Because they don't owe us reparations. We can't go to them. If white people were to die off today, they don't owe us shit. So what do we do about these people? There's going to be bloodshed among these people. It's nothing more, nothing less. I know people who are prominent, like a Tariq or a Tesla or Marcel, or people who just have thousands who are influencers. They don't want to say that maybe because, they're watched. I'm not watched. I'm just a UPS driver. Ain't nobody worried about me. So, it's like, what do we do about these people if they came into power tomorrow? If tomorrow they say, hey, Asians want everything, what do we do then? Reparations is not the conversation. If Michael Dorner or Micah Johnson sounds like, I land my plane. I'm not trying to cite violence.
Yeah, we definitely got to remember where we at too, brother. We on a white-owned platform and stuff like that, so we definitely don't want to go ahead and give these white folks any more ammunition they need to go ahead and start trying to nail Negroes down. So yeah, we definitely have to kind of be careful how we move and what we say on platforms that were created by white folks and whatnot too. So definitely, what we definitely like.
Was raised under apartheid.
I'm sorry, what was that, brother?
A white man raised under apartheid. I mean, Elon Musk, if he owns it,
Where did he come from? He heard him 6 years ago, 7 years ago. Where did he come from?
South Africa. His family participated in the mining and benefited, in emerald mines, and he benefited under apartheid. His whole family. His dad benefited under apartheid, and the fact that anybody thinks that Elon Musk and Tesla, that he doesn't know oppression, he has lawsuits against him for letting him white employees.
I heard that.
Calling black people at his job the N-word. I mean, Elon Musk. I mean, people go crazy for Teslas, but this is a man who has benefited, and you cannot grow up as a white person next to apartheid and not figure out ways to be oppressive and regressive to a minority group. Period. That's it.
So what do we do about these? Again, I asked the question. I want to land my 757. I'm just asking. So if white people were to literally fall off the map, we have Chinese police departments, which I didn't know about until 30 minutes ago. So it's like, what do we do about these people? Do we go to them and say, hey, the former oppressors or the former government owe us as FBA, which is melanated people, or do we take it to them? That's the reason why asking that question is kind of like, I get took off.
It's a very valid point, and the reality is, you made a beautiful point that if nothing will happen, if they are gone, I mean, a Chinese individual, they have no obligation toward that. And the fact of the matter is, I think the host was saying, I know a few other people were saying, our intersectionality is we need to be at the table making these deals. We can't allow them to constantly look at Africa and Black Americans as the workforce and the mineral drivers of the world that allows their dreams to happen when we have no contingencies to bring those, to hold weight in it. You know, I'm sorry to interrupt people with hands up. I deeply am. I've watched the UN for over 30 years. And the disrespect of the nations from the UN, just watching in New York, of African nations speaks volumes to the power, or lack thereof, in the world due to Africa. That's just it.
I believe Smooth. I believe Mr. Hold on one second. Because we got a couple guys with their hands up, a couple people with their hands up. Let me get the Mr. Engaging and Smooth, and then we can get back to you guys.
I just got one more point, sir. Just one more. And I'll get off. I'll click off.
Yeah, give me them. I'm gonna give you about 40 seconds to get it.
No, I don't even need that. What if they, like Tariq says, what if they call me, I'm Chinese or I'm yellow when I say so, and fuck y'all? I'm not trying to incite violence, but it's going to come to a point in time where it's like, eventually the conversation of violence will have to arise. What if they just pull the I'm Chinese or I'm yellow, whatever they identify as, maybe white, and I say so? Just fuck you. Fuck you.
Well, I'm gonna be honest, bro. At this point right here, even though the Chinese have one police station over here in this country, and I don't know if this might be the first of many to come. Right now, I have to worry about white supremacy as a whole right now, and we'll get to the Chinese when I see them, because I'm not on the African continent, so what they're doing in Africa, I can't really. There's nothing I can do to stop that. I will say this: that the Africans have the number, they have the resources. They can get together and they can go ahead and they can put it into all of this stuff. They can put it into all of the outsiders coming there and just ripping the continent off of all its resources and stuff like that. At this point in time, I'm over here in America. I'm an American citizen, born and bred, family descends from this continent, right in this country. So my main thing at this point right now is trying to, worry about what's happening here. And right now, the biggest culprit of injustice in this country right now is white supremacy. So, with the Chinese or whatever, we'll deal with them if we have to ever deal with them in due time. They're not the ones that I'm worried about. I'm worried about the folks that's over here that's been pillaging and doing whatever they want to do from the time this country, before this country was even founded, to the time that it was founded, to right now, present day. So at that moment, like I say, I'm not going to even worry about the Chinese. We putting this information out here to let people know that they now have police stations over here in this country. We don't know if this is the first of many to come or whatnot, but we're just going ahead. We're putting that information out. So until then, we can only worry about what we can worry about. I'm not tripping on it in the least bit, like I say, but I am going to keep an eye on it. And I suggest everybody that's in this space also keep an eye on it, just so we can know, so we can stay on our P's and Q's and whatnot as well too. So let me go ahead and because we got a few hands up and we got some new hands up as well too. I'm gonna go to I'm gonna get to you, Mr. Engaging the Smoother. We got a couple new hands up and I want to get to them first. I believe America has a problem. Go ahead and unmute your mic, and let me get to Brother Maku next.
Sorry. I'm just gonna keep this brief. This isn't new information. China has been, for a very long time, setting up police stations in other countries, just not particularly in the U.S., to sort of persuade Chinese defectors from coming back home. They'll use tactics like they'll spy on people, they'll stalk people, they'll use covert. It's really from a covert operations on behalf of Chinese intelligence. And they'll do things like, they'll threaten them or tell them, well, you're going to lose your health insurance, or your kids are going to get kicked out of school, or if you don't come back to China, you're going to be dead broke. We'll cut off your resources, all those things. And so this has been a tactic that they've used for a long while to stop Chinese people from fleeing the country or entice them to come back to the country. As the people are mentioning the implications that it'll have on Black people, I'm going to be completely honest with you. There is nothing that any of us can do if China really wanted to use tactics to take over the U.S. There's nothing you can do, I can do. We're talking about two extremely powerful entities that have all types of manpower, armies, tanks, nuclear weapons. It's nothing. Unfortunately, it's out of our hands at that point. China's already buying up a whole bunch of land in the U.S. As pretty much a way to kind of send us a signal that, hey, we're watching you, and this is what our you keep doing what you're doing. This is how we're going to retaliate. So, I mean, I'm interested to hear what kind of solutions you guys come up with. We're talking about covert intelligence operations, which are hard to maintain. It's hard to signal out what people are doing because they are covert, and there is really no way for us to stop it. I would also like to add that this is also not unique to China. The U.S., though we haven't set up police stations, we have black sites all over the world where we take people off the street that we suspect to be terrorists, and we torture them, or get secrets out of them, or we get them to disclose certain locations. And that's been happening for a very long time. And other countries have their own ways of doing it too. So I want us to have a real conversation about it, but we shouldn't use fear mongering and all these kind of scare tactics to try to bolster or overinflate the situation.
By fear tactics and fear mongering, exactly what fear tactics and fear mongering are you exactly talking about?
Fear mongering and that people are over-assessing the situation or over-inflating the situation and the threat. Right now, all the information that we have is that China has set up a police station, and that given what they've done in other countries where they have set these things up, they're trying to entice people to come back to China. So I just want us to kind of use that as a baseline as opposed to using all of these where they're trying to do this and they're trying to.
Well, now I don't know if you were in here when I read the article, and I've stated many a times that the Chinese said that the reason that they are putting this up is to monitor their citizens. So, I made that more than clear that their reason, quote unquote, at least that's what they're telling the public, is to actually monitor their citizens. Now, do I believe that's all that it's about? No, I don't. I believe that they do want to monitor their citizens. They probably want to make sure their citizens not giving away information about the country and this and that. So I don't have any doubt about that. But I also feel that they're over here to monitor us as well, too. I believe that years ago in China, I don't know if it was in Liberia or whatever, but I believe that in one of those African nations, they were building there was some kind of embassy being built. And from what I understand, they were saying that the Chinese pretty much had all kind of bugs and everything in there to pretty much monitor what the people were saying and stuff like that. So I get your point, what you're saying. What can we do? Well, we can't do anything if our country sells us out. You're saying if China and the United States got into it or this and that we can do anything. You're right. If the United States goes along and let China buys up land, millions of acres of land, as a people, I don't really know what we can do about that. Now, if you get into the point where you're talking about that, they're going to come here and it's going to be some conflict physically and this and that, well, then I know there's a whole lot we can do about that. But just to that simple point, what you're saying that, yeah, I agree with you. Like, they're here to monitor their people, but I also believe that they're here to monitor what goes on in the United States as well. Because let's be for real, when you're a nation like the United States and China or Russia, whatever, your main goal is not to be the second or third most powerful in the world. Your main goal is to be number one. You want to be the big dog. So that's what the Chinese want. The Chinese definitely want to go ahead and they want to replace the United States as number one. And I mean that when you have a nation, that's what generally happens. But let me go ahead and get to Brother McCoo. Brother McCoo, and thank you for your contribution on Cash App. And anybody that wants to donate, it is $ Newstoter, $Newstoter. Brother McCoo, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Apologies, bro. I'm up here on some work. But I just was reading this article as you made the space. And I want to say first, I don't see China enticing their people to come back to China or anything like that. I haven't seen that. What I do see is a heavy influx of Koreans coming around here owning stores, owning houses, and owning blocks of property here in Baltimore. So what I'm saying is I do agree with the other caller not to get wrapped up and bound up in the fear, but we do need to do something about this, because if China can come over and get or Koreans can come and get an anti-Asian hate bill passed, and then at the same time get their own police department, and we don't have one FBA police department, I mean, something has to be done. So this is a screen for black people and people that look like me to stay on this fight 10 toes down about reparations, and it's either reparations, no vote, or reparations or die, period, because this is for our children's children who will never even get to meet. We have to have that mind frame. This is worth dying for. I'll land there.
And let me go ahead, because we're going to go ahead and we're going to kick it back to our lineup. We're going to get back to misengaging, smooth enough, and orders. But let me just say this right here, too. let's not be too naive too, because China has more people in this land than anybody else in the world. China doesn't have that much space. China's not trying to get everybody that left there to come back to China because simply they don't have the room and the space for that. China does not mind that a good number of their people are leaving because they are overcrowded. And they've been overcrowded. And it's a reason back in the 90s they was taking those baby girls and throwing them over damn cliffs. They was throwing them over cliffs because they didn't want to have any girls up there that was going to continue to escalate the population. So that's why they did it. China just started doing this, stopped doing this practice how many years ago? So at one time, if you had a baby girl, a child, they was taking her and throwing over the damn cliff because they felt that she was going to be somebody that was going to help continue to populate the country. So all this talk that, yeah, well, you want to monitor, you may want to monitor your people from telling secrets and this kind of this and that, but let's cut the crap. You're not going to sit up here. China's not trying to sit up here and bring 20, 30 million of their people back to China because they don't have the room or the space to do that. Most of those people, a lot of China, you can't even, it's not even habitable. So where are you going to live at? On damn mountains and everything else? Come on now. Let's just.
Well, that's not true either because China continues to build cities to this day. They can build a city in 5 months. So they have the room. And I think a lot of the reason why they want to bring them back over there is because of maintaining the secrecy of what China's actually doing and not spreading a negative message about China.
If China was that gung ho to get their people back, China can go right ahead on and get their people back. China doesn't have to go through. China doesn't have to jump through hoops and barrels and this and that because China. Let's be for real. China is the United States' biggest trade partner. The United States is not trying to piss China off and this and that. And China, like you're saying, it takes months and cities to build those cities that you're talking about. China still. I mean, China is overpopulated. So you're saying that China's not overpopulated?
China, I'm not saying it's overpopulated. I'm saying they have the room to expand a little bit more, or they have the room to reattain the lost citizens that they did that defected over. And
so why would then, if that's the case, then why was China? If that's the case, why was China taking these baby girls and throwing them over cliffs? If they had such great technology then to go ahead and expand these cities, why were they taking baby? If you had a baby girl, they was going ahead and they was, as much as we in America like to talk about abortion and don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, they was taking baby girls and they was throwing them over there.
And I can't give you an answer as to, I have to look more into that issue as to why the real reason as to why they did that. What I'm telling you is it is a lot more intricate than just saying, well, if they wanted to take back people, they can do that. That is exactly why countries do covert operations. That's exactly why the U.S. does covert operations, even though we're the #1 country in the world. It's much more nuanced and it's much more factors that go into these things as opposed to just telling a country, bring me all of the people that immigrated over here. It's not that simple.
Well, all the people that immigrated over here, for one, all of the Chinese that immigrated over here, all of them are not American citizens either. So, it's not really that complicated if they really were trying to get them back.
Though, because what you're failing to consider is there are people that have jobs here, which means there are people that are feeding the economy here, which means there are companies, business people.
Well, I'm completely. Hold on for a second. I completely know that we live in a global economy, a global market today. So I definitely know that. I'm saying that if China was that serious about taking its people back, China could go ahead and get its people back. What is China doing over there with Taiwan and all those other nations and stuff like that over there? I mean, China, you're talking about the second biggest country in terms of military might on the face of the earth. China does not have to continue to beg these people to come back over there. China is monitoring their people, and they're also monitoring what goes on in the United States of America.
It's not about begging people. That's exactly why they set up these police departments. It's not about begging them. It's about covert, say it with me, covert operations. It's a completely different story.
Yeah, we know. And sir, I said it's covert. I said that they're monitoring the people here in America and they're monitoring their people. You can't get much more covert than that now, can you?
So what are we arguing over?
We're not arguing over anything. I'm saying that China is no way in hell that China is going to take back all of the people that migrated out of China and bring them back there because China does not have the space. Period.
Okay, well, that's your opinion, and I respect your opinion.
Toder, may I just say this one thing and then I'll wait my turn for the rest, but on this topic, to the guy, America, You're messaging, and please don't respond to me. Allow me to speak uninterrupted, please.
That's you speaking, Nordis?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry about that. And I'm just going to speak on this, be quiet, and wait my turn for the rest of what I have to say. But to the guy that's speaking right now, what you're doing is pushing a message of acquiescence and subservience, and you're telling Newstoter, oh, it's not that simple, and you're the only person oversimplifying this. China and any other sovereign entity that strikes whatever treaty or trade agreement or whatever with the United States, of course they're not going. But I don't want to say of course. We know that the United States and other countries impinge upon people's civil rights all the time. But what I assume Newstoter and people like me are saying is that we know that if they want to round up, there's millions of people here, Newstoter told you this earlier, that are here illegally. There are many mechanisms to this, and we would be ignorant, beyond ignorant, to sit back and not look for the foreseeable problems that are upcoming. So I'm just going to ask you to give us the respect of not inferring that we're just saying that we're simple-minded at the same time while you're being very myopic in your view and say, oh, don't worry about all of this. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
That wasn't what I said, but I respect your assertion. But that wasn't what I said.
Okay, no problem. We're just gonna get back around the room, y'all. I appreciate that notice. Let me give a shout out to Asia. Thank you, Asia, for your contribution on Cash App. Let me go ahead and get to Enough. I know you've been waiting for a minute. I'm gonna get to Enough, and then I'm gonna get to you, Mr. Engaging. Enough. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
You can come back to me. I'm eating.
Okay, no problem. Mr. Engaging, go ahead and unmute your mic.
I want to touch upon that guy who left off the stage with the black guy on the white guy's chest thing. Yeah, that weird guy. He said something that was kind of disturbing to me, saying that black people had policies. Even if we did have quote unquote policy, who's actually really enforcing them? What we're seeing right now is that the Asian hate crime bill, you might have a Chinese police force that would enforce those things. So that would be my retort to him, and that was what I was trying to keep my hand up for, because I really want to hear his response on that, because I felt like he was really, really misleading.
Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. Like I said, all this talk about all the black people had bills, hate bills, and this and that. I'm like, come on, bro. Matthew Shepard, when he got killed, and Jamesburg, they could buy. It was not specifically for black people, and in fact, it's when Matthew Shepard, that kid got killed, the gay kid got killed, is when they really went ahead and pushed that hate crime bill out there. So yeah, you had a black dude that got killed, and it was partly for him, but it was also for the gay kid too. There's never been a piece of legislation in this country that is strictly for black people. I don't know why people keep saying this. They know it's not true. There's not one thing in this country that's entitled to black Americans that nobody else can get. Why do we keep sitting up here saying this? If it's something that a black American can get, it's something that everybody else in this country can get as well too. There is nothing specifically set aside. Dr. Claude Anderson's been telling you that. The man worked on the damn civil rights movement, civil rights paperwork and stuff back in the 60s and 70s and stuff like that. There is nothing exclusively in this country for black Americans. Why do we keep sitting up here saying that it is? It's not. And when people try to say something that's specifically for black Americans, people get pissed off. And I'm talking about other groups, Asians, Latinos, white women, white LGBTQ. They get pissed off whenever something specifically for black people. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to say, not only do people in different groups get mad, people in our own that are of our lineage, they've been cooning and so in this living in this delusional world that some of them get mad too. Like him, he is of the lineage. He lives in Washington, and he is delusional, right? The man with the other man laying on the chest. I mean, he's living in a I don't know, in a different delusional world that he wants us all to be together. And I feel like a lot of people are still going about that. What was that? Martin Luther King, I got a dream, I want to be with everybody, and not just specifically worrying about your own people. Because you know damn well, I'm reading what he put down here, and I'm going over it, but it wasn't just specifically for Black people. We don't have a bill just for us, and we have to be honest about that. We really do. But I'll end there. Thank you.
You welcome, and people know this, man, and they keep constantly putting this stuff out there. Like, I mean, and it's not as older Black people as well as younger Black people, middle-aged Black people. They sit up here and say this kind of stuff, and they know it's not true. There's not one thing in this country that anybody in this space is specifically designed for them that nobody else in the country can get. Nothing whatsoever. But people constantly keep pushing that narrative, basically trying to tell you just to shut up and don't say any more about it. Let me give a shout out to OG Keys too for your contribution on Cash App. Let's go ahead. We went to Mr. Engaging. Let me go ahead and get to Smooth, Mr. Engaging. We'll get back to you as well too. So Smooth, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah, man. I really tried to catch that guy too, because when he started talking about all these bills, I looked him up and I noticed he had me blocked. I don't even know this dude. Usually the people that have me blocked is either coons, white supremacists, or the boule. You know what I mean? Which is cool. If I see somebody in the audience got my picture up, you know, it's cool. You know, he's probably African or something like that. That's what they do. But to the brother, I think his name was Charlie. I mean, man, you gotta understand chess for checkers. You know what I mean? You can't put everything up on this app and stuff to say, you know, what we're gonna do. You know, and then I look at people, and when people ask me what to do in a situation, what you gonna do to protect your family? You know what I mean? You know what to do. It's in your nature what to do. You do what you got to do to protect your family. You know, and that's for people who really got them curses. What to do is this happen? Hey, you got to man up and protect your family. This is real. You know, I see people getting fights every day in the neighborhood. You know?
Is anyone speaking?
Oh, y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear him. Yeah, I can hear him fine. Yeah, he's.
Might need to leave and come back.
Yeah, Smooth is talking. He's speaking good. Go ahead, Smooth.
Yeah, but back to what I was saying, you know, people fight in the neighborhood every day. You got to use the same nature that's built inside you. You know what I mean? Don't let nobody fuck with you. You know, but at the same time, you know, watch what you say on this app, because you know, as you seen our movie with William O'Neill, I think the name of it was the Black Judah or something like that. You know what I mean? They look at stuff like that. You know, they try to set us up. So we got to be careful out here. You know, we know what's really going on. You know what I mean? And what's understood don't need to be said sometimes. But the main thing, you know, we got to get on code as people. You know, and I ain't saying we all got to like each other, but to the point where we ain't defending none of these white supremacists and coons. You know what I mean? Because when they come to us, they make sure they on code, even though they don't like each other. They make sure when they in the courtroom, they're going to make all of us guilty when we not guilty. They make sure they're going to make the white supremacist not guilty when he's really guilty, you know. And they walk outside with the marches and stuff like that, but at the same time, being in the courtroom is going against us. So we just got to stick on code, you know, and don't get to the point where we have all these white friends, Asian friends, and stuff like that, and we change the way the stuff is in the world, because with them same friends, they not thinking about your culture. They ain't thinking about your ancestors and stuff like that. You know, they really don't even care. If they really got a good heart too, they still don't give a fuck. You know, because we've been through this. We've been oppressed. We've been enslaved. You know, so we got to stick to being on code. You know, I don't care if you don't like me. If I don't like you, if it's something to help the culture, I'm gonna stick with it. You know, that's what I'm saying. That's it.
Appreciate you, brother. And you're right, man. Like, and Charlie, like he's correct in that. Like, you know, we can't always say everything. We have these spaces, we talk and this and that, but certain things on this space that, man, we just can't sit up here and say it. We know that there's people listening and stuff. People talk about agent talk and this and that, and they're not just saying that just for their health. Like, let's be for real. These white folks see these spaces and they see the kind of conversations going on and this and that. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about something constructive and whatnot, but we also have to, you know, just kind of watch exactly what's going on as well too, because people, whenever they want to get the heartbeat of America, they generally tend to listen to see what black people are talking about. They want to hear what's on the black people's mind. Not It's true they don't pay us no attention, but they like to take our conversations and everything we're talking about and then make them into national topics and things of that matter. So we definitely have to kind of be careful of what we say and whatnot. And OG, thank you again for another contribution on Cash App, brother. Definitely appreciate that. I'm gonna get to it's all about Yahweh, and then Moses. I see you up in the spot. I ain't seen you in here in a minute, Moses. What's going on? So it's all about Yahweh. Go ahead and unmute your mic, sister.
Thank you, Newstoter. I just wanted to ask America just two questions. Being I heard his stance on his position on China. So I want to know what is your background or knowledge based on why China is doing this. And the second thing I wanted to ask is do you have any idea why the international community, knowing that China is violating the laws internationally by having police stations around the world, why do you think that the international community is staying silent? So those are my two questions.
Sure. So I never really gave my stance on China as a whole. I'm not for China, but a lot of what I've mentioned and talked about is because I not only study political science, but I also work in political science fields. So I know I'm not the well-versed on Asian politics, but I know, the basic amount, a good enough amount from a historical basis. And I understand that this is a nuanced issue. I understand that there's a lot more factors that go into many of these things as opposed to just the basics that people tend to talk about. Also, a lot of the international community doesn't speak about what China is doing, say, for instance, a global governing body like the United Nations. Because when you have people, giant players on the world stage, like a US, like a China, like, a Russia, things like that. China, for instance, people have mentioned it, they are one of the leading people that exports the most goods and services. So the only thing the United Nations can do is put sanctions on them. It's outlined in their code. That's really the only way they can check other countries in stopping them to do the things they do. But what happens when you put a sanction on China? That causes a ripple effect because we are in a global economy, and then you can leave countries bankrupt. You can leave countries starving of resources. We in the U.S. would have shortage after shortage after shortage. So it's unfortunate that a big player like China is at a point where they can do whatever they want, but they kind of can't do whatever they want because the other international parties, they need their goods and services for them to financially sustain, the U.S. included. So there's not much that we can do about it.
Excellent point. Appreciate you, brother, for answering that question. It's all about Yahweh. Is there anything else you want to add before we move on to the next listener?
No, thank you. He answered both of my questions. Thank you, America.
Okay, thank you, sister. And Moses, go ahead and unmute your mic. It's been a minute since I've seen you in one of the spaces. What's up?
What's going on, Newstoter? Thanks for having me on. Thanks for the space. Yes, it has been a minute. I will talk about what the space is. I will speak on what the space, the subject. But the reason why I have been on, it's been a minute, is because Newstoter, I am very, very about the fight, and I'm a serious person. I deal with numbers. That's what I do all day. Even with work, I deal with numbers, and it's very depressing after I'm done doing important things, dealing with numbers, shaking hands with billionaires, to come on the space, and it's just dumb niggatry when people are trying to build. So that's why I haven't been in these spaces. But the spaces I have been on are financial investment spaces. And believe me, a lot of the financial investment spaces I've been on are FBA that are actually have sound investments, and we're discussing investments, how the market is looking. It's very disingenuous for us to only focus on social issues, and we never talk investments. To me, excuse me for saying this, but I think it's really retarded that we only stick on social issues, but we never talk investments as an FBA. So that's why I have not been in a lot of these spaces, because some of these spaces are really bad for my brain cell. I'm a person that likes to build, I can't build if no one is about building. Everyone is talking about social issues. So that's why I haven't been on the spaces. I've been primarily in more investment focused spaces. At times I'll pop up if Tariq or Teslin got something going on, I might pop in a space like that. But there's too many riffraff, too many people that are not just, they're not serious. You can tell they're not serious, they're not doing nothing with their personal life. And I got to be in a space and just vibe with these people. No, I'm not going to do that. My time is very valuable, and I'm going to spend it where people are actually doing things. So that's why I haven't been in these spaces. And it's very, very sad that we're not talking a lot of financial investments. We're just talking political science, social issues. I mean, this is why, I don't want to say too much of this is why or whatnot. Right? It's just disingenuous for us to not look. Even if we're not versed in financial issues, find other people that are versed in it and bring them on so you can build a space that's primarily focused on financial investments. No one's doing that, and I'm telling you, it's not a good look. It's not a good look at all. To a point where I overheard a few people talking, right? They said, hey, when you go on the Black Twitter spaces, what are you bound to hear? And when I heard what they said, what you're bound to hear, I wanted to just say something, but I kept my mouth shut and I pondered on what I just experienced. We are exposing ourselves and making ourselves look predictable. We're not talking financial investments. We're not talking no investments. Everything is social issues. And I'm scratching my head like, bro, we're in a globalized economy. We're heading into 2024 pretty soon. I know we're going to get the reparations. I know we're going to do that. I know we're going to get it. But man, we got to be on top of things. I mean, there's people coming into communities that we dominate, and economically, we're not dominating because we're so stuck on political science and social issues. We got to wake up and smell the coffee, man. There's I'm fortunate to travel the world. Let me tell you, you're better off being a Black American and American than anywhere else. Your opportunity to level up is 10 times higher, no matter what the systematic BS we're living in. It's 10 times higher for FBA to succeed in these soils.
Hey, real quick, Wait, hold on. I'm gonna let you get there, but I'm gonna say real quick, you can just DM me this because we just had a business space last week and we let people come in there and promote their business or whatever. So you can DM me, Moses, and
you gotta do more business, less social issues. More business, man. You gotta be Fox Business, man. Bro. No more CNN, bro. We don't want no more CNN. Newstoter needs to be 85% business, financial, and the rest social issues.
I don't know. Hold on. I don't know. I don't know if we can quite do. No, you good, bro. I'm gonna say I don't know if we can quite do 85%. You know what I'm saying? We can do some spaces, and you're right. I do want to do some spaces around finance and also the crypto market and that kind of things as well. So that's what I'm saying. If you have some FBA, some Black Americans.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. If you go on my following list right now, you'll see all the FBAs that are in finance. They have spaces every morning, every afternoon, even when they're trading.
Yeah. Go ahead and do me a favor. DM me that, Moses. DM me a few of their names so we can sit up and try to make a space about that.
Early Newstoter, man. You got a good thing going for you, bro, but you don't want to become the next Black Enterprise or Essence, man. They ain't doing nothing. It's just social issues, bro.
What?
Newstoter needs to be completely 85% finance and real estate investment. You have to be a source for the people. You can't just be doing what everyone else is doing, because if you're doing what everyone else is doing, it's not gonna work, man. You have to devote your time into focusing on primarily investments, real estate, because when you do that, you're gonna see in your spaces, it's gonna have more people that are connected to success and less people that are just talking BS. Because a lot of people that come to spaces, they ain't doing nothing with their life. You need people in your spaces that are actually doing big transactions, doing heavy transactions.
Well, that's what I'm saying, brother.
That's how Newstoter is going to become the brand that it's supposed to become.
That's what I'm saying, brother. Go ahead and DM me, and we can go ahead and I can try to get in.
I'll do that, but Newstoter, man, going forward, bro, less spaces about social issues, man. You're going forward, man, less spaces. Money talks, man. I'm done. I land.
Appreciate that, Moses. I just have to be honest with you because we have to, and then we hold spaces too. I had a space last month, and we was talking about health. We was talking about Black women's health and hysterectomies and what was it, hysterectomies and oh my God, but we were talking about that as well too, and fibroids and stuff like that. And I'm gonna try to, and don't hold me to it, but I'm gonna try to do one this month here also on breast cancer awareness as well too. So, we have to hold some spaces, like you said, and I agree with you. They have to be diverse and whatnot too. But I feel like we hold them on everything from news to politics to social, like you say, social injustice. Got to do more business spaces as well too. But like I say, hit me in the back channel. We can talk or whatnot. But I'm not a financial person myself, so I can't sit up.
A lot of these people that you're watching, they're not financial people. All right, they going from their research in a script. Look, our FBA entertainment has been in a slow. It's been in a slow slope to increase and to reach a level that it should be at because FBA entertainment has been solely FBA journalists media platform have been solely based on social freaking issues. Nobody cares about social issues. People that look, man, I know people that went to school for political science. They're not making the money on it. Nobody gives a damn about that stuff. You want people to give a damn. You gotta stop talking money, bro. You have to stop talking money. Money talks.
So you keep telling people to talk.
Wait, hold on enough. We're gonna let you go ahead and get it. Like I say, Moses, hit me up in the back channel or whatever. We'll talk about it. We'll chop it up. We'll try to get 4-5. And like I say, I agree with some of what you're saying and whatnot. I still got to do, I still got to do the social stuff. I still got to do the news. You're talking about the largest curator of Black news in America. So it just wouldn't make right if Newstoter wasn't doing newsworthy articles as well too. But we'll go ahead, for the sake of argument, brother. We'll go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and let somebody else get on the mic, and we'll go ahead and we'll chop it up because I know quite a few people want to speak. I'm not even sure who this is. Mimi, and I'm gonna get to you enough, but let me see who Mimi is real quick. Mimi, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Oh God.
Hello, thank you for letting me speak in your space. Moses was speaking about money. All money is not good money. I believe that to a fact of it's just not like, okay, real estate is one thing to be knowledgeable about, but money is like money just does not talk all the time. I just wanted to land.
Hold on, I'm out of here, man.
Hold on, Moses. Don't go nowhere because I wanted to go back to what news. What can I call you? Host?
You got
women.
Newstoter, Toter. It doesn't matter. News. It doesn't matter.
Okay. News. When you were speaking about women and hysterectomies and what have you, my question is, do you find it weird or convenient? I notice when I go to these corner stores or 7-Eleven and I get my lottery tickets, there are some capsules up there, and it's for men. Right. So in my mind, when men speak about women and all of our, health issues, what about is there erectile dysfunction across the community of men? You understand? Because I noticed those capsules, they cost like $8, $10, $12, $13. Because I question. It's right there by the lighters or lottery tickets. So can we just start judging people by their character or something? I don't know. Stop putting it. You see what I'm saying? As far as health.
I'm not sure. Are you saying that I shouldn't have held a space about women's health?
No, let's talk about it all. Because my question was, do you find it? I mean, you might not purchase those capsules, but they're very convenient right there in front of the store, right there by the lottery tickets.
the lighters is right there. So I'm just trying to ask men. I'm a female. What is that all about?
I don't know. I guess you got men that need it and stuff like that. It gives them an extra boost and whatnot. So I mean, on that much, I've never purchased it, but I'm sure I know some people that probably have. My thing when I mentioned the we had the women's health thing was that hey, we tried to we was trying to do women's health, and I meant to have one also on prostate cancer as well too. Those spaces, let's be honest, when we're doing those spaces like that about health and things of that nature, a lot of people don't come out to them. They don't want to hear it, but still, nonetheless, I still like to have a diversified space. And I get what the brother was saying that hey, you need to go ahead and diversify it up and this and that, and we try to do that as well too. But we also trying to reach our people. But he's right that I do want to bring finances and business and things of that nature into it, so our people can hear and whatnot. They're not going to be big spaces, but we get people in there, we can have a conversation and talk. But like you're saying about the health thing, like yeah, I mean, and that's one thing I think we need to cover more spaces about health and things of that matter as well too. Why they have those pills up there for the men, I have no idea. Like I said, I want to hold something this month here on breast cancer awareness. One thing about being a man, though, it's kind of difficult talking about issues related to women, especially if you don't have any women. And in some of those spaces, you don't have a whole lot of, women chiming in and stuff like that. So as a male, even though you may have a family member that went through it or this and that, as a male, you can't really speak on it as well as somebody who actually lives it. So that's my only issue with spaces like that. And even if you're talking about certain things with like prostate and this and that, if you as a male haven't gone through that yourself, it's kind of difficult. So you need the actual commentary and expertise of certain people who might either be in that field or actually experience that themselves or whatever. So let me just go ahead and say that as well too.
Okay, but yeah, as far as the race and trying to combo everything thank you for that. I need people to open up their eyes. Like we all have a brain, we have ethnicity and race and stuff. So stop. Like money can be the root of all evil, but it's okay to be knowledgeable.
And not only that, but y'all know me in the space. Y'all who follow Newstoter, you see me put out the content daily and stuff like that. Y'all know that I'm gonna continue to. I have to churn out the news and stuff like that. That just, I mean, you talking about. I'm just gonna continue to do that. I mean, it's no, but he's right. I would like to have I would like to have some financial savvy people on just to help our people with investments and things of that nature for themselves as well. So I definitely can do that. I can't get it to the point where it'll be 85-15 like that. I mean, I just can't get it to that point like that. But I agree with a lot what the brother was saying, and some things I didn't. But I can't get it to the point where it's going to be 85%. Financing and 15% black or what, 15% social. That's just going to be a little bit too difficult to do or whatnot. So let me go ahead and enough. Go ahead.
I've gotten pushed back several times, and I had to keep coming back in space.
Go ahead, enough.
Remember I spoke. Hey, hello.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Remember, this is Connie Nordos. Remember I spoke.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Nordos. Oh, go.
Because remember I spoke 30 minutes ago and said I'd like to speak further when it was my turn.
Yeah, go ahead, sister.
Thank you so much. Well, what I was going to speak about, I want to address the guy that just spoke. I think it's a bit disrespectful to come into somebody's space telling them what they should and shouldn't speak about in the manner that he did. At least come in and, make a suggestion and don't be condescending and speak down on people. If you know how to use this app properly, there are many, many spaces on this app. He said he has a space about finances and stocks, which I visit. So to come in and tell someone what they need to have on their platform, I just thought that was disrespectful. It may not have bothered you, but it bothered me. And then it shows that there's and then the way he bounced, you got, as soon as enough or someone says something, this sounds like broke talk. This reparations movement encompasses everything. If he does not understand that finances is the hugest part of the reparations movement, that's a no-brainer. Everything we're discussing is finance. If you understand what's going on with the Freedmen's Bureau, if you guys really want to understand what's going on with the Freedmen's Bureau, visit BTP Naheem space and they break it down. There's so many economic components to this, but not only that, when you're putting forward proposals for reparations, and you're writing legislation and putting forth bills. There's, for people like him that don't seem to understand, there's such things called appropriations. How much money is appropriated? In what form? Part of getting our tangibles, our policies, and our programs for reparations, if you look at the report coming out from AB 3121 out of California, it does address investments and the things of those matter. And if he doesn't understand that we're having a social justice movement, I think he's out of line into barging into a movement telling us there's so much more. He sounds like a Thomas Sowell advocate, and he sounds very arrogant. And he could start spaces himself. But anyway, I'll move on to my real topic, back to the topic of the room. China has police stations in New York City. I am a person who believes that we should be solution oriented. And when we leave these spaces, I think we should walk away with make some action items. Now, I'm working on things that I don't have the bandwidth to work on another project right now. I just finished writing a piece of legislation, and now I'm trying to lobby for it. So having said that, it's very important that we really dissect what's going on with the legislative mechanisms that allow this police station to be here. And I touched on that earlier, but I really urge people, if you want Newstoter at the end of the space and people say, hey, a few of us want to work on this, I think it's important that we push to make sure that those Chinese police departments and any foreign police departments do not have jurisdiction over Black American bodies. No habeas corpus can be applied to us. Those are the things that we can do to protect ourselves. And then people and myself, keep touching on globalism. This is very frightening. That guy in America was like, oh, we don't need to look at this. Yes, we do. Because if all of the countries, if the elite are able to start putting their police departments in countries all over the world, that means the elite now have a global police department. So we need to look at these things, but we need to really delve into the mechanism that allowed this to happen, what powers they were given, again, what their jurisdiction is, who they have jurisdiction over, and get with our politicians and lobby and make sure that we do not fall under the purview of being policed by the Chinese or any other foreign entity. And I do believe it is a violation of international law. Again, thank you for allowing me to speak. Peace, love, and reparations.
Thank you,
So
sister.
you're saying the same thing, and I would urge you in the future to actually listen to what I'm saying because you know that we were saying the same thing.
Okay, let me because we got some.
I urge you to get that nasty tone out of your voice every time you speak. We're all speaking to one another politely, and every time you speak, you drip of nastiness. We are freedmen. We are Black Americans. We love one another. In these spaces, we speak to one another in the most loving of manner. And even if we disagree agreeably. We can save our venom and our snideness for people outside of the community. And I'm asking you to give me that respect and everyone in this space. Thank you.
I'm asking you in the future to give me the respect of your ears. Thank you.
Okay, let's not get to that point. The sister, she's just trying to be respectful. I get what you're saying, brother, that you felt she didn't listen carefully enough, but she's not saying it out of a nastiness or anything like that. So on that note, we're gonna move on. Enough.
And I was addressing the guy that just spoke, not even him.
Yeah, no issue. Enough. Go.
Mention me. You did mention what I said, so I'm not gonna apologize for.
Okay, brother. We got a new speaker on. We'll go ahead and get to you. Everybody that wants to speak, make sure you put your hands up in the air as well, and do not cut off anybody speaking. Enough. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
I would just like to say about the young man that was just up in here telling us that we needed to get more in the financial stock market. Most Black people are living paycheck to paycheck, okay? And just trying to make it day by day. And I'm not saying that we can't go in there, we can't listen to it respectfully, but have your own space, right? And talk about it. And ask other people to come in here and we'll listen. But most Black Americans, not all, we have some that's out here that actually can invest and do these type of things, but most Black Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. And then to Sister Mimi, I'm not sure where you got the little pills and talking about the little pills at the counter. that kind of went left. I just want to tell you that wasn't the topic. And another thing, Newstoter, keep continuing to do what you're doing, and don't allow other people to try to come in and tell you what you should and shouldn't be doing. Because everything you do, I listen to it, and a lot of other people listen to it, and we appreciate you for allowing us to speak and trying to come together to bring awareness to other people, to our people, but other people that's not on the app maybe. So I appreciate you, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people in here appreciate you. But I'll end there. Thank you.
No, sister, you already know I'm gonna keep dropping the news. Like you see the tweets and stuff we put out daily. Like, and I'm with the brother. Like we can, and I'm with that. Like me and DJ, we talk all the time about doing financial spaces and this and that as well too. And we know when we have certain spaces like that, it's gonna be a number of people that's gonna come in, but we don't care if that's gonna help somebody. Fine. So I don't know, like if you look at the newstoter.com platform in terms of curation, like we're doing spaces on everything, like from news to social issues to politics to, I mean, we did one on the food desert out here in the Black community. We also did one when they had on Black women's wage day and stuff like that. So we're trying to diversify as much as possible. Like the sister says, that most of our people are living paycheck to paycheck. And we do need to have some spaces where we can show our people how they can go ahead and take a little bit out their paycheck and set it aside and invest it in this and invest it in that, something that's not going to hurt them. So I'm in agreement with the brother. I told the brother to go ahead and DM me or whatever, and DM me some of the people. We can go ahead, because I'm not an expert on it. If I'm having a space like that, like I said, it's something I don't really know about. I want to have people in there that's going to show up and that's going to talk and communicate the point of view to the people and whatnot. So I definitely understand what the brother's saying, but at the same time, anybody in here that follows Newstoter know that that's just not possible, that we're going to get to the point where we're going to 85%, we're going to be doing 85% financial literature and only 15% news and politics and social issues. That just not going to happen. There. Like, I mean, that when it would, if that happened, it would be no longer Newstoter. It'd be Black Financial Services or something like that. So we just, I mean, respect to the brother, because Moses used to come into a lot of spaces and stuff. I hadn't seen him. That's why I told him that. Didn't mean it to make a point of contention. I told the brother we can go ahead and we can get in the back room and we can set some stuff up, because our people need the diversity and whatnot. So I'm with that. Like I said, we did business spaces. We've done stuff on health. We've done stuff, I mean, socially, politically, entertainment wise. You guys know we do things on entertainment. So yeah, it is what it is, and I respect the brother's opinion. But we're gonna go ahead and we move on. Mr. Engaging, we got a new speaker, Mr. McCoy. Go ahead and unmute your mic, and we'll get to you, Mr. Engaging. Mr. McCoy, you there?
Hey, can you guys hear me? Good afternoon.
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Thank you very much. Just really quickly, thank you very much for bringing me up. The thing that made me ask to speak was I heard someone mention breast cancer earlier, and I just very briefly want to introduce myself. I am Robert McCoy, and I am a two-time male breast cancer survivor. If at any point you guys want to do a space, please remember my name. Send me a DM. I have got to keep getting the awareness out about men having breast cancer, and I need to keep this going. And if you guys are going to do something, I want to be included to raise awareness. And I would really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna definitely do it. I'm gonna definitely do a space on that. It looks like I'm following you, so I would love to have you as a featured speaker, because I want to do it on the Black community all together. Black men, Black women. Let's get this issue out here. Is breast cancer awareness month. Let's go ahead and do something like that. Like I say, I want to do I want to have some diversity. I want to have issues that matter, that are important to us as a people as well too. So go ahead and DM me, brother, and we can set up and we can do a space either this week or next week. We can set up a time. Newstoter does its spaces. This is just a special space tonight, but we do our spaces 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Thursday. And I would love to have you on there, and we can do that, and you can be the guest, the co-host, or you could be the guest speaker that night.
However I can be involved, I just want to raise that awareness because I still have people from time to time who reach out and say, "Man, I saw your news story, or I saw the news article, and your story helped me find out I had it." And so I wanted to keep that going. Before I get off, the last day regarding finances, and forgive me guys if this was said earlier, I was in my reading and I couldn't hear very well. But when we do the financial, I hope that we can include, because I was excited to learn about all the things you can do with your life insurance that I never, my parents never taught me. A lot of the elders in my life never ever taught me about it. I just want to make sure that we are making sure everybody else is aware of how life insurance truly is the start of generational wealth. But before somebody has to die, you actually can borrow against it and do things like that, like the 1% has been doing for you. So I'll stop there. Just keep listening. Thank you guys so much. And whoever hears me, I wish you a good Saturday.
And yeah, Mr. McCoy, like I say, go ahead, brother, and DM me and whatnot, and so we can get in we can get in discussions about trying to do that space. Like I say, it's definitely important, and we definitely need to go ahead and hear that. So definitely go ahead and DM me. I'm following you. You're following me, so you can go ahead and you can DM me a quick message today, and we'll go ahead and we'll start working on trying to go ahead and do that space. Let me see who's next. We got, I believe, enough. Did you go ahead yet?
Yeah, I already went. Thank you.
Mr. Engaging. I'm sorry, she'll go. Mr. Engaging. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, what's up, family? Wow, the guy kind of threw me for a loop. You can pass on me too, because I was gonna respond back to what he says. Like, I thought reparations is about finance, so I didn't really understand what he was getting at per se.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. That is a huge financial aspect. Reparations is all about finances and whatnot too. So like I said, the brother he always came into spaces. He showed respect and whatnot. And like I say, if we can set up something in the back channel and we can go ahead and do that, I'm all for it. If definitely to help our people with financial literacy, I need that help as well too. So we can go ahead and do that. By all means, we definitely gonna do that. Like I say, we're still gonna pump out the social issues and news and everything of that matter as well too. But if we can go ahead and we can set that up, I'm with it. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's 30 people in the space, I'm with it. The 30 people that come, they'll get the knowledge and whatnot, and we can go ahead and do that. And I'm totally with that. So I definitely don't have an issue with that. Mimi, go ahead and unmute your mic. Mimi, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I just wanted to go back to reparations. I'm gonna talk about myself because I don't want to offend anyone. Reparations is a very broad term of monies that could be owed to you. But I'm gonna talk about my reparations. Reparations is land, people. First and foremost, it's land. I'm one of those daughters per se that I had reparations in my family. My father is from one of the 13 colonies here in the United States of America. That will be one of the Carolinas. Visual, my father is buried right there in the backyard behind the gas station. Once upon a time, it was slavery. And when Abraham Lincoln came in, he was supposed to give 840 acres and 2 mules or something like that. Do your research. But that's what happened then. So reparations, if you can claim it, go apply. You do not have to wait for no one here in North America. Okay? I don't know what that is all about. And I somewhat get jealous. I can. If I hear someone speaking up here about reparations and you live over there in California somewhere. The 13 colonies is what that is. not being disrespectful. Do your research. If you feel like you are owed reparations, apply yourself. You don't have to wait for no one. Just make sure you go to the title. It's called this. I'm going to give you the steps. Go to the title patent place or office, wherever you live, and you put in the patent of where your family and ancestors came from. Or in the easiest way to do it, go to a family reunion. Do that.
Well, sister, I have to add this one thing, and now you're saying that the people that live in California, that they shouldn't be entitled to reparations.
Well, because y'all know, and I'm gonna say this, and he comes. Remember Kanye West when he said some of them stayed and some of them left? That's that. To the ones that stayed, that was a choice. But the ones that left, they went off to California. And I'm gonna say this, because everybody is familiar with Ice Cube. Hold on, I'm gonna talk about Ice Cube real quick. Y'all notice how Ice Cube don't talk about reparations, but he says, fuck the police. Fuck. He don't talk about reparations. I'm gonna say one more thing. Hold on. I'm gonna say one more thing. Remember the movie Color Purple? That's Oprah. Remember? That was based out of California. I'm not a troll. I'm just telling the facts. Please don't come at me. I'm paying attention. So I want to go back to the fellow that was saying that some people, some will be left behind. I'm just giving you everything. You don't have to wait for no one. If you feel like you're an old Montees here in North America, go apply yourself. It's no different than applying for whatever. A house, a mortgage.
So meaning, you're saying we go right online and apply for it?
Well, you have to do your research. You have to have evidence. Now, be careful, because there was a young lady I was speaking with, and this was like last year sometime, and she was young. She was like 26. I hope she's in here. I don't know. I can't remember her name. But she said when she did her research under her reparations, she found out that her great-granddad was a slave owner. So be careful. And when you do that research, make sure that, okay, you sign up for it. Because what if you're owed back taxes from your ancestors not doing that? Hold on. It's a lot.
If you owe back taxes from your ancestors.
Right. What if your ancestors didn't pay their taxes on that property? Now, mind you, reparations is land here in the United States.
And the reason why they didn't pay those taxes is because
maybe they sold it, left it, and I'm going to give you guys a visual. I'm going to put something up top. No?
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead, sister. I'm gonna let you go ahead. I'm gonna give you 40 seconds. Nobody interrupt. I'm gonna give you 40 seconds just to go ahead and land your plane so we can go ahead and get to the next speaker. So you got 40 seconds. Nobody come off their mic. Make sure your mics are all muted. Nobody come off your mic and interrupt her while she's speaking. Go ahead, sister. You got 40 seconds.
I'm just giving information. I'm about resources. If you feel that you're owed any monies of reparations here in the United States of America, that would be North America, by the way, go and apply. Go to the land, go to the patent office, and do all that, and you can just figure it out from there. Other than that, when you hear Americans, we have some South Americans in here too, because there is a North America and there is a South America. I got the feeling your girl, the one, I'm tapping her, she's from South America. Thank you.
Okay, sister. Yeah, I think we pretty much everybody when we talking about reparations, I think everybody pretty much knows we're talking about the United States of America. We're not talking about South America or the Caribbean or anything of that. Also, if you're in California and your people were descendants of slaves and they probably moved out there after slavery, you're entitled to reparations just like any other Black American that's in this country as well too. So let me go ahead and
hold on real quick, and I'm gonna lay my plane. I promise.
Wait. No, sister, you already because we got to go ahead and get it around. No, I gave you a little minute. We'll come back to you. We'll get back to you. We'll get back to you. I'm trying to see who's next. I believe Nordis, did you have your hand back up? Go ahead.
Sure did. First of all, to the lady, thank you for your input. But a lot of what you said, was not true. One, let's start with Ice Cube. Ice Cube has a whole platform called A Contract with Black America that's solely about reparations. I'm not going to take up space talking about it. He's very flawed. He has great intentions. We support the man and all that he has done. He has even sat down, I don't know, face to face, and spoken with preeminent scholar of reparations, Dr. William Sandy Garrity, as well as AUS chapters, Friedman chapters, etc. So that's not true. Number two, I'm not going to ask you questions. I'm just going to make my points. Enough is going to get on the rest, I'm sure. You're telling people in very vague terms, oh, you got to apply for the land and the patent. You're not sharing any information that is substantive or that is instructional. And in these conversations, we're talking about federal reparations that has been given to every group that has put in a justice claim alleging harm that has been done to their specific ethnicity, or there was just a group of people that have been harmed by the United States government. So to tell people you can go and apply for this on your own, you're right. We can do a lot of things on our own. But if you're going to tell people that, be specific, tell them what they need to do to get them there specifically, like we do in these spaces. Number two, we are moving as a block in a body of people that have been harmed under the most heinous crimes against humanity ever known to mankind. And we are pushing for all of us to be repaired. And that's what this discussion is about. So to act like people aren't...
I'm not acting. I'm right here.
Pardon me?
I'm not acting.
So why do you
look at reparations? When you finish,
you off?
Yeah, she's talking, Mimi. So go ahead and let her finish talking. Nobody's going to interrupt anybody. So go ahead and let Nordis go ahead and finish talking. Go ahead, Nordis.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean you no disrespect. It's just I've already proven that you started out with false information. And sometimes we say things that maybe we don't know the information. But it's important that we don't mislead people in these conversations about reparations. This movement didn't just start on Twitter Spaces. It didn't start on Clubhouse. I've been at this thing for reparations since 2016. So the message that we're spreading is education, empowerment, upliftment, and mobilization. The first thing we have to do is properly educate people about what it is that we're doing. We're owed a justice claim. It's a debt. It is a debt for everything from slavery all the way to the present peonage, convict leasing, redlining, Jim Crow, mass incarceration, medical experimentations, not just getting back land. And if we only ask for land and we have no money to develop the land, that does us no good. If we have no tangibles, as far as like the guy that just came in, if we don't have plans, if you go and you study the Freedmen's Bureau and the things that were promised to us, and they are still owed to us, it's on the books, it's law, that's how we're going to win. We have to address all of those things, meaning we have to get free college education, free tuition, free business loans, remedy the housing problems. It goes on and on and on and on. But just telling people, and you're speaking in not scholarly terms, you just go apply for the land and the patent, you get those things, and then you look up who you are, and then that's how you get it. You've said nothing that honestly is substantive that will benefit anyone in the space, and I'm sure you're well-meaning. And I'll close with this, people. Please read From Here to Equality by Dr. William Sandy Garrity. If you don't want to read the whole novel, the whole book, you can go to the online. He has a quick guide, a reparations quick guide. There are 3 issues. Volume 1, issues 1, 2, and 3. It'll break it all down to you quickly so that we don't have to engage in conversations that lead to confusion, disinformation, and misinformation. Thank you.
Also, before I go ahead and we pass it to the next person, everybody in here, make sure you're following the host. Make sure you're following Newstoter, the largest curator of Black news a day in America. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Like I said, make sure you're following us on YouTube. Also, if you can, support us on Cash App, which is $Newstoter. That is $Newstoter. Let me go ahead and get to Enough. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
All right. Okay. Mimi, you're being very disingenuous, right? You're coming up here, you're saying all these things to people. Okay. That is not saying that reparations isn't a part of land, but it also has something to do with back taxes. I have land in Mississippi, right? That was left to me by my parents, by my great grandparents. And damn, Pearl, Mississippi, I have land here. Me and my siblings, we have land already. That is all that we pay property tax on, right? But we can't build anything on it because we don't have the money to build anything on it. So please don't come in here spewing those lies to people, okay? Don't do that. It's not right. Yes, it is a good thing to do your lineage. And those are things that I'm working on, right? And those things that a lot of people are working on. But don't come in here lying. Because that's what you're doing. And you go to rooms and you just say the most craziest things to people. And you can cause issues that way. Because if somebody is in here and they're trying to learn, and they end up taking your information and try and go and use your information, you know damn well it's not going to work. You know it in your heart, right? And you're not on your page. I just went down your page to see what are you really even talking about reparations, right? In any way, form, or fashion, and you're not. You're not. So, in those. Can I respond? No, I'm talking, right? You're not talking about nothing. Right? It doesn't matter if I'm not.
All right, Mimi, go ahead. Because like I say, nobody's interrupting you when you speak as well, too. So let's go ahead and keep the conversation flowing at this point right here, because you went for a while. So you're gonna go ahead and just sit back and relax. You'll get a chance to respond as well, too. Let Enough go ahead and finish, because then we have some other hands up. We got Mr. Engaging, then we're gonna come back to you, and then you can go ahead and speak. Go ahead, Enough.
I'm just saying, please don't be disingenuous and be 100% factual, okay? The land that was left to me, it was only left to me because my grandparents stayed there on that land, right? But they left Mississippi, right? They left. They continued to pay the property tax, right? But they are also owed unpaid labor. So we have to be all I'm saying is be truthful. There's no disrespect to you, but if you're trolling and telling people this could be really bad for our movement, okay? So if you don't know, go to people that actually know. Like Nordos has been in this movement, and I don't know if you know this, but the people that are in California, they are owed. They are of the lineage, they are owed reparations. So regardless of what you think, I'm from California. I grew up in California, right? But my family reaches back to Mississippi, Pearl, Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi, and Brest, Texas, okay? So you're going to put some respect on California name. And another thing about Ice Cube, he also had a hand in why that task force was put together. So you're going to put some respect on his name also. So please, don't come in here disrespecting California, because there's other states that's also working on reparations, and any state that work on reparations and they have people that are of the lineage, they are also owed reparations. Okay, thank you, and I'll land. And I don't know if you see Original down there, Original Blood, but he has his hand up too.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. I didn't see that. Original, is it something that you like to add to the conversation? Also, y'all, we kind of got a little bit sidetracked when Moses came in, because Mimi, the conversation was about the actual title, and it's about China having a police station up there in New York City. So that's what it's really about. I know we got on the stuff somehow when you got up on the mic, you started mentioning the space I had about hysterectomies and fibroids and stuff like that. And we kind of went a whole nother way there as well too. But with Moses and that, but y'all, like, if
about the pills, don't forget about the pills. When she go buy her lottery ticket, don't forget about that too.
Yeah, so we just, like I said, I just want everybody also to remember the importance of the actual title of the actual room, which is talking about the Chinese or China having an actual police station up in New York City and globally in 54 police stations in 30 different nations around the world as well too. So Original, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Peace and Black Power
I mean, they put it, couldn't put it, I couldn't have said it any better myself. But when I put my hand up, I had heard someone state that you should cover different topics. I just want everyone to know, Newstoter is already doing that. I mean, there was a topic he had on about fibroids. I shared some information with a sister where she has a solution that women can drink, and the fibroid would discharge out of them naturally. So, I don't know what it. See, I think what it is, Newstoter, is that there are people out there now because this past Monday, whenever. So I saw a commercial with this Cuomo guy. He has a new show now, right? And so I said, let me just watch this first show and see what's going to be on there. And so I watched it, and what he said was he was trying to say that social media is not real and Twitter is not real and blah 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 blah. And he said that he's going to go old school and use a telephone. And I'm like, that's not going to work well. And so I was listening to a local station here, and this brother was saying something to the effect the same thing. And I'm like, I think what's happening is that spaces like Newstoter, where you have Newstoter, DJ, and Ray, they're very well researched and they're putting out quality work, and that you got people want to destroy that. So just be careful of who you listen to, and because you got people now trying to steer you in a different direction. But like I said, I support Newstoter. It's the best platform that I've come across, and I'm going to continue to support. And I'll land with that. I just want to say that so that people don't get confused. And if you hear somebody like that, just look at how things are going. The internet is not going away. Because like now, it used to be where if a person had a talk show, they tried to get a syndication deal. Like there was a person here in Atlanta they tried to syndicate. And I said, well, you already on the internet, you already syndicated. And on Newstoter, there was a brother that called in from Amsterdam. So we're already syndicated all over the world. So I just want people to know, be careful of who you listen to and the damaging information that they could be disseminating, because there is an attack. There is still a direct attack on quality communication by Black folks around the world, and I'll land on that.
Thank you, brother, and thank you for always supporting the platform as well too. Let me give a shout out to Robert for your contribution on Cash App as well too. So thank you. Like I said, we're only one group of people. We can't put out everything. We're trying to go ahead and we're trying to diversify as much as possible. So we want to keep everybody, up on content and news and breaking Black news daily. We're dealing with more news and political type things than we are financially, but we do need to take care of the financial aspect as well too. But once again, thank you, Original, and everybody that comes up in the space for always supporting the spaces, and we're trying as much as we can. That's why I say the spaces are great, but the spaces don't take away with the amount of content daily that we're putting out here on Twitter. So the spaces, you'll never, if you want to actually see the content, then you need to go to the actual Newstoter Twitter page, because it's content galore every day we putting out. So we're trying to put out something for everybody. Mimi, I'm gonna go ahead and let you speak as well. So go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yes. I just want to say I'm deeper than enough. Enough is figuring things out. And what she spoke of, you're right here, Enough. I'm not speaking about you. I'm speaking with you. I'm going to let you jump in so we can have a conversation. What you have is called reparations. You just said your family is from Mississippi. You moved to California. They left you land and they had back taxes. That's called reparations, Miss Mayor. I would invest into you to pay off that back taxes so you can be prosperous.
First of all,
I'm just, hold on, let me finish.
Go ahead, Enough, and let her finish, and then I'll go ahead and I'll let you respond. So go ahead and let her finish. Also, Mimi, I'm going to say this here before you go ahead and finish. I haven't heard you address the actual topic of the actual room, which is China having a police station in New York City. So I know you're talking about the reparations and you're talking about Enough and her property and this and that, but even Enough and everybody else in has actually addressed the actual topic of the room, which is China having a police station in New York City. So if you don't mind too, I'd also like to hear your thought on that as well. Enough, go ahead and let her finish. And then, like I said, you can come back and come after she goes. But go ahead, Mimi, unmute your mic.
I do believe China has police stations. I'm going to tell you why I believe that. When you talk about our politicians, a lot of our politicians, senates or what have you, they're from other countries. They come over here with their country or whatever they, Omar. She's married her brother to be in our politics. That's doing too much. So yes, I believe China, all of them gonna take over. So yes, I would answer your question. Is that fair?
Yes, ma'am. That's more than fair.
Yes, because we got a whole bunch of people in our politics. And that's the Biden administration. That would be the Democrats, by the way. And I wanted to say this. When I say Democrats, they do this shit. And some folks are oppressed thinking like black folks, black. Listen, black is a color. It's melanated people. Because some of black people fuck and suck and all that. So when you talk about reparations here in the United States of America, don't get offended. Because I have a question for Enough. Like some folks here in America, by the way, they want to be from Africa so bad. Now, Africa is a continent, but there is a country in Africa called Africa. But what if you're from Egypt? Right? So, hold on. I'm going to say one more thing about when you talk about California and all the Nevada, none of non-13 colony. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to do my history. I'm going to go back to Rushmore. Who carved that? What? So, how did Rushmore? I'm talking about the faces on Rushmore. That's our currency. You don't find out, and they are white men though, but I don't believe everybody white too. I don't believe Abraham Lincoln was like a white man, right? So if you can just flow with me on that and go with that and just be the best person you can be and start touching that Bible every now and then and believe in Christ. Now, you can decide to be religious, but that's up to you.
Okay, sister, I have to.
I'm done.
Yeah, because I'm not entirely sure, like, where are we going at with this conversation here?
I just noticed. Hold on. I'm gonna say this real quick. I just noticed Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves, right? If y'all notice, it's a penny. Y'all notice Abraham Lincoln is on a penny, right? What is a penny made out of? Copper. Copper is in our water system, our air filters, and everything. Think about it that way.
Okay, so
stop being oppressed.
Okay, so I know now.
Damn thing. It's a lot of
Okay, so now I kind of get what you're trying to say now. Okay, so basically, stop having this victim mentality is what you're trying to say.
Correct.
Okay, Okay, I mean, you could have just came out there and said that before. I know, because when you start talking this crazy talk about reparations and back taxes, and I'm sitting up here saying, how in the hell are you gonna have back taxes on something that was never even given to you? How in the hell do you have to pay back taxes on something that was never even given to your people? How can I pay on something that was never given? So, Mimi, what I'm gonna need you to do is just kind of relax. Now we got other people that got their hands up. So I want you to go ahead and relax, and I'm gonna let Enough talk. Don't interfere with her, okay? Because like I said, you got a chance. You went from talking about Abraham Lincoln, talking about the copper, to basically saying, hey, you jigaboos, stop being weak-minded, sitting up here crying to these white folks. These white folks basically don't owe you nothing. So I kind of know what you're getting at. Go ahead, Enough. Unmute your mic. And let me before you do, let me give a shout out to Tawina. Thank you, Tawina, for your contribution on Cash App. But Enough, please go ahead and unmute your mic.
I'm gonna try to be really nice about this, right? Mimi, let me tell you something. When the hell did you hear me say that my people have back taxes on our land? I told you we paid property tax, right? Respectfully. So when you speak on me, only speak facts, right? Because this is recorded, right? Don't speak on me, okay? I don't even know who you are. You're a fucking troll, and you're trolling, and you're going around in a whole bunch of circles. You can't even stick to one topic, right? Stick to one topic. I'm gonna need you to do a little bit more reading and educate yourself, right? Respectfully, okay? Because you just had 5 topics, and I don't even know what the hell you're talking about, and you're being a distractor right now. You are the type of people that come into a room and try to distract from the actual conversation that we were having. You know, because you really didn't even speak on. It says China has police stations in New York. I'm pretty sure you didn't even read the article to know what the hell we're talking about. But you wanted to jump on the stage talking about pills, talking about reparations, talking about all these different things. Look, read the article and then raise your hand respectfully, but don't speak on me because you know damn well I didn't say that, right? I told you we're paying property tax. Nothing about back. They would have took the fucking land, right? The land would have been gone. No, the land is being still. No, we're paying our property tax so that it could stay in our family for generations to come. Okay, so be quiet. You know, sometimes it's better to be quiet and not say nothing. And
I'll give you $100 right now if you can name the 7 continents.
Okay, I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to remove you from a speaker because, like she said, your whole point was to come in here and just to troll. Nothing fact based or anything like that. I tried to give you a chance to let you come up here and speak and whatnot, but now you're just sitting up here. Now you want to insult people. You want to start stuff and this and that. She asked you a genuine genuine question. No need to go ahead and try to get nasty and whatnot. You're sitting up here. You're talking about all this other stuff. And just for the fact of the matter that you feel like black people need to shut up and they shouldn't say anything about reparations. So I get that part. Let me go ahead and go to Mr. McCoy. Go ahead and unmute your mic, brother.
Hey, if I requested, guys, that was an error. I believe the sister from Cali said everything that needed to be said. I'll just sit back and keep recording.
Nope.
My hand was up, but somehow I was next.
Who was that? Who said that? Nordis? Yeah, because I can't see who's speaking, so that's why I'm like, who's saying?
Y'all announced my name, but my hand was up. I don't know how it went back down. But here's the thing, guys.
Go ahead.
To the speaker, Mimi, again, and then I would like to move on, host, if we could, because this is a dilatory and a distractive tactic. But this woman is coming in here with all this misinformation. First of all, put in the Jumbotron right now a country called Africa in Africa. First post that. Let's start there. No need to make that face. Just post it in the Jumbotron. We don't have to go back and forth. Then the second thing is you're talking about the taking of land from American citizens and calling it reparations. Now, if you want to look at reparations in the most, simple aspect, you can call it reparations, but that is not the common definition of reparations. So people, pay attention. When people like her, we've caught her in so many lies and spreading misinformation and disinformation, and you have to ask yourself why. We were on point and getting deep into China having a police station in New York City, which should be terrifying. Somebody else came in and said, oh, we don't need to fearmonger. Yes, we do. Any law that is passed in the United States, any action that is passed in the United States has always been known to adversely affect Black American freedmen, FBA, descendants of American chattel slavery, whatever you want to call yourself. There's nothing that, when the United States government says they're doing something good for us, you have to look behind the veil because it's never good. So now they're doing something good for another ethnicity once again. I'm going to go back to solutions. I'm asking people, I'm doing my work, I'm working on other bills. People, when we leave the space, can 3 or 4 people volunteer to get together and examine the policies behind it and report back in the next 3 or 4 days and explain to us what were the mechanisms used to grant the powers, the policing powers, to a foreign entity? That is freaking frightening. We need to know how often this has been done, and do they plan on doing it some more? The next thing we need to know is how do we go about combating this and making sure that we are not policed by any foreign policing agencies on American soil, just like they're violating the 14th Amendment by trying to repair illegal immigrants under the 14th Amendment that was specifically meant for us. We have to look and understand what type of treaties, allegiances, alliances were formed such that the United States government, who knows that China's constantly undermining the United States, what led to them getting a police department here? We don't know. Like, there's a lot of global issues that can come up, but let's get very myopic in our view. How does it impact us? When does it impact us? Where does it impact us? So we have to look. I know I'm repeating myself. We have to figure out who's under their jurisdiction, how wide their jurisdiction is, what are their policing powers, what weaponry they have, what they're allowed to do, et cetera, et cetera. That is our first step. We have to do our research. So we can't have people like Mimi coming in here telling us dumb stuff, like there's a country in Africa named Africa, and trying to tell us that our good brother Ice Cube never speaks about reparations when he's got a whole reparations package. And when he sat down and spoke with Donald Trump, Black Americans who were not well versed were very upset. Oh, you talked to Trump. Anybody in politics knows you talk to everyone. You talk to enemies and allies. You try to form alliances. That's why they have a saying that they work across the aisle. The Democrats did not speak to Ice Cube. So don't come in here with misinformation. And back to the point, host, can we get back to the real point? Because people like Mimi and the guy before her who was condescending, you're talking rope talking, yeah. When all he had to do was come in, introduce himself, and say, hey guys, I would really like to talk about investment opportunities and stocks and municipal bonds and things of that nature. And I invite you to come into my space because I would like to add that to the discussion. Don't come into people's spaces telling them what their content should be. If I go into a comedic space, I'm not going to tell them you joke too damn much. Y'all always joking. Now the white man looking at you because y'all always joking. That's what he's saying to us. You look dumb. Remember he said that? You look dumb. We don't look dumb. Newstoter is providing the news of the day that's relevant. And all of this ties into reparations because we're a hard people that need to be restored. We're fighting for reparative justice, and we don't need any other harmful actions being heaped upon us. And Mimi, you can laugh all you want. You're lucky this isn't my space because you wouldn't be here. Gooey goo goo. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Nordis. Let's go ahead and because we're not going to be on here much longer. Like I say, I feel like we've been on there for a couple hours, pushing almost 3 hours. So we're definitely gonna go ahead and wrap this thing up in a second. Mr. Engaging, go ahead and unmute your mic.
I was actually next, Newstoter.
Who said that? Black Native. I didn't even see you up here.
I know. I missed the whole space. I apologize.
Well, you can all it's gonna be recorded, so you can always go back and check out what was missed. But go ahead, Black Native, and I'm gonna go ahead and let you speak. Go ahead.
Black Native, brother, all the noises down there, he'll be after you. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, my phone is at 1%, so I'm gonna try to be quick. Are you saying the actual? Because I was in the Jumbotron trying to find an article about China.
It's on the far. It's on the far right. The very first one on the far right, all the way to the far right. Go ahead and click that one. It was published by the New York Post.
Are you saying the country of China has a police station inside the United States, or is it that?
Yes. Yeah. China, the country of China. China has 54 police stations in 30 countries throughout the world.
I know they got it in Africa, but we allow so-called foreign entity who's supposed to be our enemy as far as doing trade and everything to come in our country and open up a police force within New York City, because I know they have a large population of Chinese people over there in Chinatown, and they've always had secret police. And I know the Jewish community has their own police departments as well in New York. So this right here is very dangerous. Like Norda said, whenever they do something, it's never going to be the benefit. It's never going to benefit us. It's always going to be some type of adverse reaction to us. And the sister Mimi, I don't know her, but from me just coming in and hearing, it sounds like she's on some bullshit. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish charging up my phone. Thank you for allowing me to speak, Newstoter, and peace to everybody in the room.
As always, sister, I appreciate your insight. So thank you once again, DJ, because I can't even see you in the space. So you say the art
of dialogue. I mean, the art of appeal, excuse me.
The art of appeal. Go ahead and go next.
I always get your name confused because I'll be watching the art of dialogue on YouTube so much. So the art of appeal. Come on up, man.
I posted something in the Jumbotron in regards to a world history of tax rebellions. This took interest in me mainly because one of the last ones that happened in 2001, which was on income tax, happened in Tennessee. So it's part of the current state's history that I'm in. So I would recommend everybody to read it because it goes from ancient times to modern times and shows how more from an economic rebellion sense and things that people use for leverage. I think Chinese have leverage. So the fact that they have police stations really doesn't shock me, is basically my general conclusion on that. I've seen videos around where they say they bought committee seat holders at $1 million. There's like these elections for a presidential election, that's like $14.4 billion. It's like the most ever. And our midterms are going to approach $9.4 billion. In the last 2 years, that's $23 billion. And we got to pick between two assholes. Meanwhile, China's doing business and owns like everything's made in China. So who do you think has the leverage? It's what you have to ultimately look at. So like nobody looks at it as a business. Our people are going to be broke from at 2053. They said, but that was before any financial crisis such as the pandemic, the lockdowns, and then we have another financial crisis coming up because, you know what I mean, we're supposed to be on 7 to 9 year cycles. We're 7 years old. It's like 14 years now. So I'm not saying when it's going to crash, if it's going to crash. I'm just saying what goes up has to come down at some point, right? Like, you know what I mean? A 14-year run is a fucking long time. So, anyway, tax rebellions, that's leverage. That's why I posted in the Jumbotron. I'll leave with that.
I appreciate that, brother. Thank you so much. Mr. Engage, and go ahead and unmute your mic.
Mr. Engager doesn't have his hand up.
I see his hand up. Like I say, my space it's tripping over here. Like I say, because I can't even see DJ in here. Like it keeps saying that you request.
Yeah, my hand was down. My hand was down.
Yeah.
Since you have me on the spot,
try refreshing your screen. Like close it out and bring it back up. Go ahead, Mr. Gage.
I ain't gonna worry about it because we're gonna get ready to close the space out in a second. So
yeah, you can close it out, man. I'm good.
Well, let me just go ahead and say thank you to everybody who came out today. Like I said, you guys know Monday through Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when we do the Twitter space. I've been having some issues with the actual seeing people actually talking in this space and whatnot too. So I'm not gonna hold you.
Hey, before you close it out, let me get in there real quick. I know I'm coming up here late. What's good, everybody? Reparations up. Hey, just to speak to the title of the room or whatever. You know, if y'all want the scoop on China or whatever, I believe I did post it in the Jumbotron. It's the I guess the middle dot right there. It says if you want the scoop on the CCP, that's the Chinese government. Follow NTD News and China in Focus, because when I play international news, that's where I'll be playing it from. So everything that we be hearing about China coming straight, from the source or whatever. But these folks aren't good people, from my understanding.
at all. You know what I mean? Not the whole Chinese people, but the Chinese government. Also, y'all, as black folks, I want y'all to check the back of your driver's license, right? If you are an organ donor on the back of your driver's license, first thing Monday, take your ass to the DMV and get that shit taken off. You know what I mean? Because China, or the CCP rather, which is the government, are the #1 organ harvesters in the world, Joe. And the reason why a lot of black women are coming up missing is because you already know nobody care about us. You know what I mean? So ain't nobody gonna think of a black woman or a black little kid MIA in the world because nobody care. So a lot of these rich folks that are of Asian and white and Latino or Hispanic descent, they be going into Africa and coming over here to America and certain parts of South America, getting the black melanated folks, kidnapping us. You know what I mean? And cutting our organs out. Sometimes they cut it. Don't even bother to use any type of anesthesia. They'll just knock you out with whatever type of drug. Leave your ass in a bathtub full of ice. You'll wake up with a note next to you. Make sure you go to the hospital right away. Get there, your fucking organs is going to shit. Same thing with so many folks. You know, when they, your peoples go to bury you for whatever reason and shit, and they do the autopsy or whatever, and the autopsy guy come back and say like, yo, this person's heart, liver, lungs, everything is missing. You know, how is that even logical? This person was killed in an auto accident, or they might have overdosed, or was murdered, or just died of old age, or whatever the case be. You see what I'm saying? So even when you pass, certain organs are still ticking for X amount of time until you completely expire, 8 to 10 hours or so later. You know what I mean? So with that being said, if you got organ donor on the back of your license, make sure you go down to the DMV first thing smoking Monday and get that shit taken off. And if you are going to do anything with your own organs, make sure you put it in a will. When you leave this world, tell your ancestors, your kinfolk that's left in this world, hey, do what you want with my body. You know what I'm saying? If you want to donate it to science, or you want to, donate an eye or something like that, to somebody that may need it, shit, knock yourself out. But don't let these people just take whatever it is they're going to take from me without your permission. You know what I mean? And as far as the reparations conversation goes, California folks deserve reparations just as well as folks over here in New Jersey. Just because our folks migrated, not immigrated, it's a difference. Migrated from the South to the West, and we settled the West too, by the way. We're the original cowboy. Baz Reeves in the building, for those that know. So with that being said, you are entitled to a check. It doesn't matter if the folks that migrated west didn't go through slavery or not. You're still suffering from 150 plus years of Jim Crow. So you need to check for that, yo. Now, let's start out, man. Love y'all.
All right. I appreciate you guys joining us up with this Saturday to come through and listen to the conversation. We will be back Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you catch the Newstoter Twitter Spaces Monday through Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You guys make sure you check out the notifications that we send on Twitter about the news updates and everything daily. So I'm not going to hold you guys up. I appreciate you all coming through. Enjoy your weekend, and we will see you Monday. So everybody take care.